What is going on, everybody? Happy June 11th, baby. Tuesday, June 11th. And do we have a show for you today, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to be having the winner of FPO, first time ever getting it done. Holyn Handley will be joining the show. Very excited to talk to her. Because last time, if you remember, she was on the show, Yuli, with us, was right after her win. That doesn't really actually count as a win on tour, because for some reason that tournament is an A tier. But it'll be interesting to kind of see the transition that she's gone through this season. So very excited to have Holyn Handley on the show today. We have Ezra Robinson joining the show. I don't think there's a hotter player on tour right now that hasn't won yet than Ezra Robinson. The dude's gotten close so many times. It's just a matter of time. It's going to be interesting to hear him for the first time join the show. For those that don't know, Paige Pierce called me out and maybe the podcast out a little bit in a way. That clearly is going to be a topic of discussion. I went to Twitter and had a little bit fun on there, so we'll be talking about that and many, many more topics with Edwin Stats and a lot of good listener questions this week as well, Yuli. But before we get into all that, how's it going, brother?
On Monday, I was planning on going to Turku. So anybody in Finland listening and that didn't know, I'm not going to be going there. I pulled out last week. I had some stuff I had to do at home. And so, yeah, I'm here for a week. Last week went pretty good. Milo McIver, beautiful property, interesting stuff. The whole week I got to play with Nate Doss the first round. I saw some people like complaining about why is Nate Doss on that card. That was an incredible card. That was awesome. It was my favorite card that I've been on this year by far.
That's a sick card.
Yeah, and adding Nate to that card, like, I don't know, it just made it pretty special. It was like everybody had fun. I mean, Ricky and Paul were cracking jokes at each other. Everybody was laughing the whole time. Everybody was kind of in a nice little groove. Nate was a little rusty, of course, but I mean, just like his presence, the dude's just an ultimate professional. Like the whole time was grinding, trying his hardest. And some really impressive shots came out of him for not playing in 6 years, I'll tell you that much. So that was electric. Tournament went well. For me, I took 15th place, which has been becoming kind of the norm for me, which is good. But it seems like the better you play, the more you want, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's always like a bittersweet after every single tournament. But Milo didn't disappoint. The people were awesome. I liked the course. I liked the course changes. A lot of people didn't. There's a couple holes that I didn't like, but
we'll get into that.
I had a great time.
Yeah. It's almost like if you would drop yourself back like a year ago and was like, hey, you're going to be taking 15 top 20s here, top 10s here, you'd probably be like, oh yeah, heck yeah,
I'll take it.
But now you're like, you've had such a good run. You're like, all right, I'm ready for that next jump, you know, because you haven't yet been, correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't yet been in the mix to win the final day yet. And I think that's the next step, right?
No, it is. And I'm getting really close. So that's what I'm like a little bittersweet about this week is, you know, I was 7 strokes off the lead. And that's not a lot for
it's really
as bad as I played. I felt like I played pretty solid, but I've been really patient this year. And we've talked about this a lot on the podcast about me learning the new role that I have in this game that we have. You know, I was no longer Mr. Top 10 guy, top 5s, top 4s every single weekend. And that was tough to get through my head. And then I had to like start building a whole new game plan. And that's hard when you're freaking old and in disc golf world anyway, and having to like let go of my old aggressive play to like start from scratch kind of, you know? But as I'm doing it, it's working. And with that, I know that I'm on the right track, which is awesome. And so that's why it's bittersweet. It's sweet because I'm still not playing my best and I'm getting top 10s and top 15s. And then I can kind of see that I have a lot to improve on, you know? Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm peaking at 10th and 15th, to where last year, if I took 10th, that would be as good as I could possibly play.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, I'm doing it. And now I'm having rounds where I'm getting more and more. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. Keep going.
Okay.
You're
I'm
good.
having more and more rounds where I see improvement coming, and leaving strokes out there instead of like my horrible rounds being like 980, you know, which that's another thing. Those are going to come. I'm going to shoot those bad rounds, but I'm also improving slowly.
You know what's really fun too, Yuli, is like when I'm, final day, kind of scrolling down the leaderboard, like I don't have to scroll that far to see your name. And it's really exciting to just be like, oh, but like literally it's like almost a half scroll, and then boom, you're right there.
We
and I'm
want
like,
no
oh,
scrolls,
dang.
man. We want no scrolls.
Definitely don't want to be using your pointer finger too much with the scrolls. But my week is interesting. We've got some personal stuff going on right now, so I'm hoping to hear some. It's kind of like always the worst when like stuff is happening, but you don't know for sure what is going on, right? We're kind of just in limbo right now. So I'll talk to Kelsey when we get more information to see how much we kind of keep a lot of our personal stuff to get to ourselves. But I'll let you guys know if there is anything to share. But just keep maybe some thoughts and prayers sending our way for some good news here coming up. But other than that, I'm still here with the boys, doing well out here. Kelsey's coming home this weekend, so I'm very excited for that. Looking forward to that. And I got to go out and play a little bit this week. And you ready for this, Yuli? I might be changing my stock shot for my backhand.
Really?
I might be not a hyzer flip guy anymore.
Okay. Explain.
I'm watching Ezra. I'm watching Ricky. I'm watching Gannon. I'm watching Calvin. They're all throwing flat, little Annie, flex disc. And I've been starting to do that a little bit more with like my stock tee shots. And I'm seeing like it's like my bad shots aren't as bad, is what I'm seeing.
I mean, that's the course design that they're doing. Remember, I told you this a few weeks ago, well, maybe a few months ago, that's the shot that I'm struggling with, is left to right burners, starting it on the left, pulling it to Annie, and then letting it fade. You have to have that shot in this day and age in order to be successful. There's no other way, because if you're doing hyzer flips, the wind ruins you. Yes. The wind will ruin you. There's no controlling this into any sort of wind. It gets more stable with a right to left. It gets more understable with a right to left as well. The only shot that helps you if you're throwing a hyzer flip is when it's going against it. So you need it sometimes. Sure. I'm not getting rid of it. All I'm saying is I might be. But in the calm, that's the best shot. Hyzer flips are irrelevant. They really because are. there's like so many times where it's, I'm releasing on a hyzer and I release too much hyzer, and so it never flips up, so it never gets going to the right at all, and I end up missing my shot so far to the left. So I don't know. We'll see. It's something I've been messing around with. Like I noticed it the first time yesterday when I was on the course. I played a course that I haven't played in a while. And, I'm stepping up to holes being like, trying to remember like, what's the shot that I used to throw here? And then I'm like, wait, maybe this is a better shot than this. And I'm just seeing a difference. So we'll see if that equates to anything, but it's always fun to kind of find a little bit new, something new in your game to maybe help benefit you. So, all right, before we jump into any more topics here, we got our shout out to our sponsor here at Manscaped. Hey there, beach babes. Are you ready to soak up those summer vibes and unveil your ultimate beach bod? Well, you're in luck, because our friends over at Manscaped have you covered from head to toe with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. This ultimate all-in-one grooming kit is set to have you looking and feeling your best in the summer sun. Trust Manscaped and unlock the confidence you need to turn heads this season. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code TOURLIFE.
Let's make this summer your smoothest one yet. Embrace your summer bod goals with all-inclusive performance package 5.0. Perfect for those aiming for that crisp, clean, and confident look. The updated Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Grain and Body Hair Trimmer got a summer makeover. It's waterproof, designed for splashy pool parties and beach hangouts. Surprise! Your purchase comes with free boxers 2.0 Midnight Bravos. Comfort and style that fit like a dream. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TOURLIFE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code TOURLIFE at manscaped.com. Okay, so we're going to have Holyn come on in about 10 minutes or so. So I think we normally go. Oh, Ezra comes on. Correct. Sorry. So we're just going to keep it the way it is. Hopefully we can maybe talk through all the points, maybe even with Ezra on here. But I kind of want to roll through the tournament real quick and get through as much as we can before he hops on. I know we started a little bit later today, so apologies, everyone. Apologies. But let's first talk about the man of the hour, Gannon Buhr. Bogey free. How difficult is it to go bogey free on a course like that?
It's actually easier than you think.
Well, I have a stat that proves that it is easier than most people think, because he's now the third person to have gone bogey free on tour. It happened in 2022 when Garrett Gerthy did it at Beaver State Fling. Mm-hmm. And it happened in 2023 when Eagle McMahon did it at Beaver State Fling. Shout out to Statmando for that stat. So
that's so funny.
It's only happened 3 times, and it's all happened at that tournament. So yeah, it might be a little soft in that regard.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking about it, and I thought that the tournament didn't supply enough of bogey strokes. Like, you could really play that course pretty safe here and there. Now, they did add a bunch of OB, so it got harder to do that this season.
Correct.
But you never played the holes different because of the OB. The only one that was different was where they added the out of bounds in front of hole 6.
You think people played that hole differently? I mean, it's a brand new hole.
No. I mean, it was a huge distance advantage because you could just rip it to the back side of the hill, hit the hill, be safe.
Sure. Yeah, and I do want to discuss that OB a little bit. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to save our course stuff for the end?
We can talk about it now. I mean, I liked it. I didn't like it at first, but then I kind of liked it. Yeah.
So hear me out on why I don't like it. Is when you make OB like that, you're really punishing a small percentage of quote unquote bad shots. Because in the final round, we saw Gannon and Ezra just completely not throw great shots on that hole and go long right and are in those woods and they're safe. Versus we saw it kind of backfire with Calvin, right? Calvin hit we're talking about the same hole, right? The little elevated one, he hits it, drops back and goes OB. To me, I'm okay with that OB, but I feel like you got to make all that OB long right also. You have to make all that OB long right, because when it's that small like that and we're throwing shots, I think it was a 450-foot hole.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
People are throwing it's almost one of those things of where the worse you throw it, you're actually better off.
Yes.
Which I don't love that.
More OB.
Yes.
Is better than no OB, and that's a good start. What I would do to change it, because I don't think people should be able to lay up for easy par either. I would make both right sides OB. And people have been really crucifying this hole because of the out of bounds, and I was one of those people at first, but I liked how it played in the tournament. I like that the first round I really felt it out. I laid up. The second round I laid up again.
What do you mean laid up? Are you throwing a mid?
No, I'm throwing I threw a Punisher because I knew I couldn't throw it 440. So I'm throwing it 400 feet.
And there's enough room for you to kind of throw a hyzer short. Okay.
Tons of room. And that's my point, is a layup on that hole should also be punished if you don't do your layup correct. But you're right. We saw Luke Humphreys just completely shank it to the right, get an easy par pretty much. And I don't think a shot like that should be rewarded with a par when Calvin throws technically a better shot, takes 5.
Yes.
Yeah. I also like the OB kind of close right there because you can hit it into the backside of the green and be safe. And I think German Nate mentioned in the commentary, like he shouldn't be punished from that close by going OB, missing his putt and rolling back, where I'm in the opposite opinion to where you have the option to lay that putt up. And if you go for it, that's what it is. Like, you better make that putt. Otherwise you're going to get double penalized. So it's like he doesn't have to take a 5 there.
Yeah, it's the same thing as me as like someone running a putt and it's skipping off the top of the cage and going OB.
Exactly.
Right?
Like you have the option not to do that. And he's only losing 1 to the card. That's not a lot.
No, he lost 2.
No, but if he lays up, he's only losing 1. That's my point.
If in that
everybody
instance,
messed up. So in that situation, he kind of has to go for it to save the par to not lose any, but at the same time, you have an option to lay it up.
Oh, yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
You know what I mean? And one stroke out there isn't really that much coming down the stretch. We saw how it played out. Like, it was anybody's tournament.
And this kind of goes to the point of last week when we were talking to Gannon and how he was saying like he really hopes like what we want, which is those forced carries. Like, he really hopes that doesn't exist, because you saw right there, the number 1 player in the world right now is saying that he doesn't want a certain playing style because he feels like it's going to have to make him think, and he's worried about that. That should be Disc Golf Pro Tour, PDGA, tournament directors, course designers. You should be hearing that right now and being like, we need to make more holes like that. Because exactly what you're saying is, I think Big Germ and Nate Sexton they look at Calvin, and everyone is under the impression that it's all gas. And when that's all that you ever think, when you make a mistake and it goes like that, now you're like, that shouldn't happen. It's like, well, it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't all gas. And so I'm 100% with you on that. Is like, I like the fact that people have to make decisions. The more, the better. What do you think
the sweet spot is? Because Nate said this in the final round. He said the sweet spot for scoring for him is hot round being between 8 and 12. He likes that.
I think it's a little high, right? Like, when you start getting 12, that means you're literally only parring 6 holes. That means you're 2 out of 3 holes you are birdieing. And I think too, like, maybe that's the case if it is a par 3 heavy course, which BB State Fling is a par 3 heavy course. Yeah. But
I'm in the opposite. I'm not looking at what is the best. I think we should be looking at what is the worst that you score on the course.
That's also huge. Like, if the worst you can ever shoot out there is 6 and the best you can ever shoot out there is 12, like that
like
range
even
of 6
is so easy to do out there. And I don't think even should be a score that is okay. I think over par is fine. Yeah. And I think 13, if you shoot that, who can, like, people listen, disc golf and the way these guys are playing, I don't think we can design a course that is going to force these guys never to shoot 13 under.
I don't believe have to get smaller. That's the only way.
I don't believe that's going to happen. I think somebody's going to figure it out, and somebody will shoot 13, 14, 15 under. That's fine. But what I would like to see is, if they don't play good,
yes,
there needs to be a 2 over, 3 over par. So that way there's all this big swinging and strokes. You know what I mean? And you can be in the middle, play conservative, shoot 5, 6 under, and then go after it and shoot a 2 over or 13 under.
Yeah.
That's what I would like. So I'm okay with it. I don't care about what the best is going to be, because I know with how talented these guys are, it's going to be amazing. What I don't like to see is when they do throw horrible shots, just taking a bunch of pars everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I think people should be more punished for bad shots, not good shots, for bad shots. And that's not happening right now.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Like, we're rewarding people with 30-foot putts from a drop zone.
For the worst shot possible.
For you just lost your favorite disc.
Yeah. And now you have,
and that's what I've heard from people. Like, I lost my favorite disc. That's punishment enough. It's like, what kind of world do you live in? That's punishment enough.
We're living in the participation trophy
like
era
you
here.
lost your favorite disc.
Okay,
because
so
you threw a bad shot. It has to do with your score, not your disc.
Let's talk a little bit more on. I think we have Ezra coming here in a second.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit more about Gannon real quick. Let's just kind of put a bow on his performance. So he started off like super slow. I believe he parred the first 4 holes and then finally got a birdie on hole 5. And at that point, like Luke kind of was, expanding his lead a little bit. I kind of want to just fast forward a little bit because he ended up playing great. I think there was a stretch where he was like 7 under through 8 or something later in the round. But the putt he had on hole 15, I think that was the putt.
Oh, it was for sure.
He doesn't throw a great second shot into that hole, which that hole, say whatever you want with it. Like, it's so close to being a good hole, but it's like one of the worst holes, I think. But it's like right there at being like so good. But he makes that putt, and that's a putt too, where he hits cage, he hits band, and that 3 turns into a 5, and he's out. Right? To me, did you find that as being like the deciding fact, like going back and looking at it?
Well, absolutely. That, and he just threw stock shot after stock. He made it look so easy down the stretch. Yeah. It was just like birdie, 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 birdie. He got to that hole. And that's my problem with the course, is that's the only real hole where it's like super tough. I actually thought that the little holes had more strokes to give up than the other ones.
Okay.
Because like the first little one, you saw that they all had to make 30 footers. I love that. I thought that that's a good, even though it's only 100.
You're talking about hole 1?
No. In the woods,
the dinky hole.
Yeah. So
it's just hard to bogey
had
that
like
hole.
A gimme.
It's just hard to bogey that hole. So you're really only getting a birdie,
but you can gain strokes if you make your putts. I'm good with that. And then the next hole seems easy, but it's really not. And he got both of those, I think. Didn't he? I think he did.
He did get both those, yes.
Right. Yeah. And I thought that those were the momentum builders to go into the next 2 and be able to get them. See, if he misses those 2, that putt becomes harder.
Yeah, you might be right. Like, he might be forcing it where right there he's just feeling it.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts real quick before we get to like the finishing here? What are your thoughts on where the fans were on hole 16? Because he almost could have really, that one kid, it skipped neck level on hole 16. His drive that went into the woods.
Yeah, that was awful. I thought that the people who were
Did there be people there?
I don't think there should be ever any people right there. Here's the thing. You get nervous on that pad and then you juice it through the gap. So they're in the way.
Yeah.
If you put OB back there, nobody's going back there. And then I'm fine with fans being back there a little bit because you're not going to see a shot come in there with any sort of heat. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. It probably changes up players' disc selection off
100%. You're not going to throw a disc that can get to that side. You're going to see more people pushed early. And so I thought that was one of the holes where they put a lot of OB everywhere, but I thought that was a great hole.
They could have done the side of the fairway right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. People are obsessed with this natural OB crap. I think it's so silly. Like, oh, I can't throw. These guys throw 500-foot standstill sidearms, some of them. Like, the no run-up thing isn't a real thing. It's not.
I also heard like people on commentary saying natural OB incorrectly by saying like shots that went into the trees were like, oh, they're a natural OB. It's like, no, they're inbounds. Like,
they're inbounds and they're just going to throw a standstill.
They're just going to throw a little bit of a harder shot.
You lose accuracy, of course, but guess what else you lose accuracy when you lose the whole entire stroke?
Yeah, that loses quick. Last thing before we have pull Ezra in here, was Gannon close at all? Because it was really hard to tell from the video how they changed hole 18. Was that second shot as dicey as I thought it was? When he went big hyzer, like could he have gotten screwed by clipping a tree and going OB there on 18?
No.
Or was he safe the whole way?
There was no chance of going OB with the shot that he threw.
Wasn't that OB last year though? Wasn't there OB over there?
There's OB deep, and that wraps around those other trees by where the other basket is. It's really far off the fairway. You'd have to take a massive kick straight to the right. There's no trouble going the backside. There's none. If you throw it high enough, you can't go out of bounds. And once you go into where he went into, I was watching the live commentary, and they were saying, like, I think Nate went in there and was like, hey, this is going to be tricky. And it was. But they cleared it out so well in there that I didn't think that there was even a problem, like ever getting out. I went in there twice, and I had putts both times, and I was in the middle of it. So
yeah,
it wasn't a lot of trouble, really. But it was a hard hole. Birdie was tough. I like that hole. I thought the hole was really good. I wish that there was a way we could see the basket. I hate blind shots a lot of times.
Especially on 18. That's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like blind on 18.
I think tucking it more, maybe left and deeper might have been a good play. You'd see a lot more like people trying like cut rollers and different crazy, or not cut rollers, but rollers. I saw Nate do a roller, and I thought that was pretty impressive to dissect the hole kind of like that. And he got a birdie the final round doing that.
Very nice. All right, well, let's not keep him waiting any longer. Let's bring him in here. We got a lot to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, Ezra Robinson joins Tour Life for the first time. Ezra, how's it going, brother?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Where are you at right now? Are you road tripping back?
We are going up to Seattle to Kayak Point for a GK Pro weekend thing.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Are you starting to drive? Are you driving cross country? Ooh,
yep,
boy.
to the preserve. Yes.
Any plans to stop on the way? Like, what's the road trip look like?
I actually haven't mapped anything out yet. I normally try to see something along the way, but I know it's like a 20-hour something drive. So,
are you a touristy trap kind of guy? Do you like to see like the biggest rocking chair in the world?
No, not stuff like that. I like national parks, state parks. I'll go see those more than So.
All right, first thing, we've obviously had your brother on the show, but I don't think we even discussed this. Set the record straight. Which one is older, Ezra or Isaac? Because people get confused about this all the time.
Yeah, Isaac's older by 18 months.
Okay, so you're the younger brother. Because I think initially when you guys kind of popped up on coverage and everything, everyone was thinking that you were the older brother. Mm-hmm. Does that happen a lot? Do people think that?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. Any reason why you think that is?
Probably because I just act a little older. No, I'm also married as well. Some people hear that, they're like, "Oh, he must be older." Isaac's, just a bachelor living it up with the boys. So,
when did you get married? How recently was that?
December 4th, 2021.
Okay, wow. So you've been married for a decent amount. And how is that dynamic with you touring now a lot more?
Yeah, we're still figuring it out. It's been very interesting because I went from, just staying with the guys every week to us trying to get our own place. And we're still figuring it out. But it's been good, that's for sure. But we normally just get our host home or Airbnb or hotel for the week, and my wife sets it all up beforehand. That's nice. So she handles all that. So that's very helpful. So
yeah, that's awesome. All right, well let's jump into the disc golf side of things here, and let's get after it because I don't know if you caught the beginning of the pod, but I basically threw out the line, and I think it's actually pretty factual. I think at this point in time, if we're looking at the best players to have not won on tour, I think your name is maybe the top or maybe just right there. I think Aaron Gossage is probably in the mix. I think the other Ezra Aderhold is probably also up there. But I think you're right there. And so I think the first question I have is, have you seen anything that you can pinpoint of this is the thing that I got to make sure I don't do or work on or fix for the next time I'm put in this position to win?
Mm-hmm. I think it was very clear after Champions Cup and DDO of what I struggled with the most, and that was staying mentally there. and not just getting angry at myself for stupid mistakes and letting that ruin the rest of the round early. So I think that's something big that I need to work on, and continuing to work on that.
So do you feel like, because we obviously saw at Champions Cup like the frustration kind of coming down the stretch, but even on hole 18, like I still was like, dude, if he throws the craziest shot I've ever seen on hole 18, like you have a chance to eagle, and then who knows what could happen. So you definitely didn't like shoot yourself out of it. But have you made that decision of like negative talk or being upset or like kicking your bag or whatever it is that you do? Do you think that negatively impacts your game?
Yes and no. Sometimes I do like kick myself in the pants a little bit and get myself back on track. But to the extent of what I'm doing, where it's ruining the rest of my round, or honestly letting the competitors that I'm competing against see that I'm, shaky, is a huge thing, to where, if I was playing against somebody who was clearly cracking under pressure, I would be all the more confident, and I don't want to give them any more confidence. So my goal is to be as calm as possible and steady as possible. And that way I don't give them any, confidence from me being shaky, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, fair. And do you feel like in these instances that you have been close to winning, do you feel like you have like cracked under pressure? Is that what you would draw it up as? If you felt like if you didn't crack under pressure, you would have won multiple times this year?
Multiple times, no. I think Champions Cup is the really only one that I had a shot and then I got upset early and I didn't finish very well. DDO, Calvin was winning that right after like the first two holes. So
yeah.
But Beaver State, I didn't crack under the pressure, and I had my best finish yet. I knew that it was going to be a hard one to win, but I did my goal of not cracking under the pressure and keeping a steady head the whole time, and I ran it down right to the wire. So I'm happy with that.
Rewatching it, because I watched live and then I rewatched Jomez to just kind of see, some different angles and whatnot, and to see your round. There was really only one shot. And if there's more, then please let me know. But there was really only one shot that I saw that jumped out at me. And it was very apparent too, because you had, first off, I got to ask, are you an absolute crusher now? Or like, has that always been the case, or what's going on here?
I have no idea. I feel like it varies every tournament.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were throwing far this tournament though?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. No, it just
apparently, like you were bombing these. We were bombing these discs.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from.
Okay, so that's not. You're just not. You're okay. All right. Because I was gonna say, like, do we need to be on like top 5 distance contest alert? Ezra Robinson.
I've never felt that I throw that far. In tournaments, it just seems a little different. I can pump some out there. In practice, I wasn't getting that far, but I don't know. So,
you're juiced.
I guess so.
You were the drive on, and this is the hole I'm talking about. The drive on hole 11 was insane.
Yeah.
But the second shot, that was the first time that I saw you were the last to go. All 3 people on your card, all through forehands, all got either, Calvin, I think, was just a step outside a circle, but the other 2 basically parked it. And then you came up and tried to throw the backhand, which was the much more challenging shot in the thing. That was really the only time I saw a shot where I was like, I don't really know if that was that great. And was there anything else that round that really jumped out at you as like, man, that wasn't a great shot? Because you did play pretty solid, I felt like.
I felt like I did. Maybe that third shot on hole 2 that trickled out of bounds. Kind of released it early.
Yeah.
And again, like I didn't even know it was out of bounds till I got up there. But that one sucked. And then hole 11, I was on a tiny bit of a slope. So it kind of got in my head just a little bit when I was just planting.
Oh, your footwork, okay.
Yeah, and then I kind of yanked it over a little bit. But yeah, I think those were the only 2 shots that I can really be upset with. I mean, I missed a couple circle 2 putts, but everybody does that. So
What about like when in the rounds leading up to these final round moments, do you find yourself getting frustrated, or are you in a different kind of zone because, there's no cameras, there's usually some people watching, obviously you're a household name, but what are those rounds like compared? Obviously the pressure's way different, but can you pinpoint like what's getting you kind of fired up?
Yeah, like, are you saying like if I get upset during those rounds?
Yeah, like what, like, or do you not? Like you said, sometimes you hit yourself and it can be a good thing. Like I think we've all gone through that. But what's going on in those rounds that is getting you in position?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot less pressure, like you said, and it's, I mean, I think that has not knowing that I'm, have a chance to win or anything like that. That's not in my head at all. The only thing that would really get me upset during one of those rounds is if I'm just missing circle 1 putts, or not getting clean off the tee, which I normally do. So like if it's, I don't really have any mental problems during those rounds. So yeah.
Let's jump a little bit ahead and just tell me, walking up to the green on hole 18, you have to make the putt. That is, when we're all growing up and stuff, whether it's basketball, football, whatever it is, we all visualize that moment, right? Of like, I've got a putt. In this instance, it was a putt to push it to a playoff, but still it's the same notion. Like did you feel like you were ready for that moment? Because it did look like after you putted, like you were kind of disappointed with your attempt. Like,
yeah,
walk me through that.
Yeah. So I've actually switched up my putt the last 2 weeks, and so I've been a lot more confident on the putting green. And I didn't hit a ton of circle 2s all weekend, but I was hitting a lot of basket and getting really close. And I walked up and I was like, I mean, it's basically like a 50-50. If it goes in, it goes in. If not, then can't really be upset about missing a 61 footer to tie. But I just wanted to give it a good bid, and I was disappointed with my bid. It had no chance. It was so far right, and it I kind of putted before it could really hit me on what the putt was actually for. Kind of, okay. Which could have helped or could not have helped.
Because you're kind of getting iced there too. Was Gannon like trying to get out of the tree? Because you kind of stood by your.
Yeah, he took forever.
Yeah, you kind of stood by your, like you were right. Like for those that don't know, Isaac, Ezra, 2 of the faster players on tour. Luke Humphreys also, shout out, a very fast player as well. So it looked like you were ready to go. Did that have any impact at all, or not really?
Not really. I mean, I'm used to. I was trying. It was basically the same as the whole round, where like I would be ready to putt and then they'll be moving out of the way. Like I'm used to that, so that didn't really bother me much.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw that and I was trying to figure out, the camera didn't pan or anything, so we didn't get to see, but I assumed it was probably Gannon trying to get out of the tree, which is, understandable.
Philo was giving him crud on the live.
Oh, he wanted you guys to stroke Gannon.
He was like, this is crap. Like, somebody needs to call him on 30 seconds.
He's like, I get it. Like the moment, and he kind of contradicted himself because he basically was like, I get it. It's a big moment. You want to take your time, but someone's got to stroke this guy. And I was like, no, those are the times where you should be taking more time. Like we're all bought in on that.
Yeah, I could have easily won if we were playing the time by like in the last 3 holes. I would have been ahead by 2.
Well, I mean, I think you guys were like 2 holes or something like that behind the group in front of you. And granted, you did start with a decent gap or so. All right, let's go back a little bit. The only other shot that I kind of circled where I was kind of like, was that what he was going for? I believe it was your 3rd shot on hole 17. No chance to get to the green there?
Did I have a chance?
Did I ever cross your mind of should I go for this or not?
Yeah, it did. And I was going to go a backhand layup. I don't know if the live caught it, but I switched a couple times. And then there's a forehand gap and I'm not even comfortable with throwing a forehand yet on hole 11's upshot. And so I was like, okay, this is kind of it. And there's a lot of pressure on that shot. And I went for it, but just let it go way too early. And it hit the branch and dropped safe. So I was like, okay,
so you were, wow. So you were going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that, Yuli?
I did not.
No, the coverage and everything made it seem like you were laying up.
Yeah. No,
snap.
You said you're not trying to give your competitors any information. I don't know if I think that's one that we fold and keep under the deck right there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Wow. No, it was not my best attempt. I had a wide open, it's not wide open, but it was a touchy forehand for me.
Sure.
So I was like, I got to go for it though. And then just left it inside. If I'd hit the gap, it would have been fine.
Where are you as far as like your confidence level to the field? Like you see Gannon playing so good. You see Calvin playing so good. You're in the mix. It seems like every single weekend. Where are you like your confidence level of where you feel like you rank right now in the world? Do you think that you're close to making that hump and being the guy? Or are you still looking at these guys and being like, okay, I need to improve. I need to make this better before that happens?
Yeah, I think it's a little different. I view a couple people a little differently. Calvin, I grew up watching. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's, Calvin Heimberg, kind of still that kind of aspect of it. And I'm like, wow, I'm lucky to be even competing with him because like he's that good. Gannon, him being a younger guy who I've been playing just as much or if not longer than him. It's more of like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. And I think I can, I've played enough practice rounds with him and hung out with him enough to be comfortable around him and know that I can beat him. But same thing with Ricky. Like I grew up watching him and like all these greats of the game that like have inspired me so much are kind of still a little nerve-wracking to, go up against. But yeah.
What was said between you and Isaac at the end there? We saw you guys kind of get embraced a little bit.
He said, "Sorry, man," and I said, "Yeah."
That's wow.
That's
how quick of a how long do you give yourself to kind of be bummed out?
It's still it's so hard to not look back on the whole weekend and find that one shot that I missed. So I was bummed out pretty much the rest of the day. And yeah, Monday I was like, okay, yeah, I could have done this or done that, but I'm fine now. I think you got to get over that pretty quick and take the victories that you have and focus on that.
Do you do anything? Is there anything that you do outside of disc golf to kind of help you reset a little bit?
Yeah, I'll go to the gym a lot and just that kind of, get some mental stress out of the way. Just doing some physical workout or something just keeps my mind off of it and, kind of resets it for the week. And I'll hang out with Alden and Isaac. We'll go play like a fun disc golf round or just play games or whatever.
Steven in our chat says he's parked outside a bar. Yeah, the crazy thing with and I get what you're saying, like DDO, Calvin was like an absolute robot, so I don't know if anyone's beating him there. But the thing that's so crazy with like an individual sport like disc golf is it is so hard to win. And literally, like you said, like a shot here, a putt here, and all of a sudden you have a major championship under your belt and a win on the tour. And now you are probably, in this instance, you probably are like the front runner for player of the year, right? Like you're up there as being talked about. So do you feel like you just need to get over the hump? You just need to somehow figure out a way to win. And then once you do that, then after that, it'll come easier for you?
I think I don't think it's a hump. I think it's just a learning process. I think it's a steady hill that I'm climbing, and I'll get the top.
Okay. I like that.
I don't think. I think Beaver State really proved to myself. I don't know if it proved to other people, but like, I can perform under pressure, and I can win. I can win. Even though I didn't win, I can win. I was in the hunt the whole time, and I just needed one of those tournaments to where, I just needed to learn that, and it actually means probably I learned about as much as I could, even if I won. Where I was able to stay behind the whole time. I was never in the lead. I didn't have the only thing I didn't learn was how to control the lead, which I'm sure is different, but I learned a lot, and I think that's what it is. It's just a steady hill of learning, and once I have a couple more of those tournaments, just like in contention, I think I'm going to get a win pretty soon. I am looking forward to Des Moines.
Nice.
That's a good course for me, and I got my first podium there last year, so I'm looking to give it a go.
What about like one thing I know that I think about, and I'm sure other people think about too, is there extra pressure because your brother's been so successful in a short amount of time too, like multiple major champion, elite series winner, kind of out of nowhere came onto the scene. And as I remember, when you guys were coming up, you were always the better of the two for a long time. I remember thinking, oh yeah, well it's Ezra. He's the better of the brothers. And I played with Isaac at the U.S. Championship, and I remember thinking, oh, his brother's way better type thing. And then it kind of flipped, and now we see it kind of leveling off, and you're catching back up as far as all that goes. Like, what kind of pressure is behind that? Because sibling rivalry is a real thing, and he's had a lot of success.
Yeah. So yeah. Let's see. So he got out of college and just went straight on tour. That was in 2021. I wasn't doing a full tour because I had just gotten married, and I didn't even know if I was going to be touring. I didn't know that disc golf would be my full-time job in 2022 or 2023 or 2024.
What helped you be able to make it full-time?
Just committing to it. I was working a full-time job back home doing water treatment for big industrial companies. And so I was kind of just half and half. I was giving half of myself to disc golf, half of myself to my job, and it was just not getting anywhere with anything. And I was happy for Isaac because he went out and, he didn't have anything keeping him back or anything. He didn't have anybody to really support. He didn't have like a family to worry about, they're just different stages of life. And once, me and my wife did commit to doing the full tour, I had the pressure of, okay, I have to cash every single week or we're going home.
Yeah.
And then I started doing better, and then had a good finish to last year. And so that gave me the confidence I needed. And Isaac's been doing it a year longer than I have. And I'm super proud that he got all those wins. I mean, I was the first one there to congratulate him on every single one. But no, I think being on this is my second full year on the road. I think I'm catching up. I've passed him in ratings. And yeah, I'm getting to where I know I can be, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's clear that when you're playing well, that you have the chance to win. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what all of us strive for, is just having the opportunity. And then when you put yourself in that opportunity, now it's like, okay, can you actually, get it done or not? So I know a lot of us are pulling for you too. You're exciting to watch. We appreciate the fast play. That is another thing. I want to see more people on lead card that play quick. But before we let you go here, we always ask people when they come on their pet peeves. Mm-hmm. And so new guests, the chat is probably going to be fired up here. Do you got any good pet peeves for us? Anything that gets you going?
Let's see. I wish the whole time violation stuff which I'm sure have been mentioned before and all of that. But like you have marshals on some cards timing and then like stroking people and everything. But on the lead card, like we said, Gannon took so much time and there was marshals there, but they didn't want to call it or anything because of the situation. If it's going to be a rule, it has to be in every situation. Like you can't just pick and choose. Oh, we'll do it the first round of the tournament, but not the last day on the last card. You know, it's got to be consistent. And I think, you know, you never know when like you. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say, but like if I took a lot of time, I won't know if I'm going to get stroked for it or I'm not. It should be a consistent thing, and you know, I don't know.
Well, and on that last shot, like he's in a bad spot. 30 seconds isn't a lot of time.
No.
And so he's looking at the basket. He's looking at this route. 30 seconds is gone. That's when people rush shots and make mistakes.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily make it a good rule, but it is a rule. And in that situation, I agree with you. I think a marshal should have been on it and done it. But at the same time, next time I have a putt or something for the win, I don't want to be called on it.
And I know his putt on 15 took, I think, upwards of 45, 50 seconds. But yeah, I mean, either give us more time, like 45 seconds to make the shot, and then, or be on the ball of, you know, stroking people if they need.
I almost forgot to, Yuli, before you ask the final question, real quick, we always ask people too. We've got like Madden stats. Our stats guy, Edwin Stats, absolutely kills the stats game. He puts together kind of these Madden stats. So everyone wants to get to your reaction of this. So I'll kind of run it down if you're not able to see it here. So here we go. Attributes, these are what you got. Scoring, you're at a 92. Power, you're at a 95. Accuracy, you're at a 90. Scramble, you're at an 87. And putting, you're at an 87. Anything do you feel needs to be higher? Anything you feel needs to be lower?
Yeah, I take a ton of bogeys.
Oh, so you think your scoring should be lower?
No, I think my scrambling should be better.
Oh.
Or I need to work on that. Am I answering the question?
Oh, so yeah. So I was saying, like, are there any? So these are just based off of your statistics.
Okay.
So I was just saying, like, is there anything where you're like, actually, I think my putting should be 95, not. This is more like, do you feel, not like I need to work on this. It's more like, do you feel like this is accurate where you're at?
Yeah, I do. My putting, garbage right now. So.
Dude, I'll say this. I don't know if there's anybody more accurate off the tee right now. I think that accuracy number is a little low. I've played with Ezra a few times this year.
Might be skewed.
He doesn't miss a line, bro. It seems like.
Might be skewed a little bit.
Yeah, maybe take a couple, like maybe like one of those little PowerPoints and drop it down and give them a little 91.
Also, people are giving me crap. I'm pretty sure you can say attributes or attributes. I think both are correct.
Attributes.
Am I wrong there?
Attributes? I don't even know if that's a real thing.
Is it not attributes and attributes?
No, it's attributes.
I thought it was like a potato.
Oh, well, it can be if that's what you mean. Yeah, I think there's.
Wait, you're saying the word? I'm saying both words, but one means one versus the other.
Yeah, I think attributes you like that's you giving something.
You attribute your success to this.
Yes, and then attributes are like your good things.
Okay. All right, you hit him with the final question here.
All right, out of all the people on tour, who do you look at? And let's say it's a skill that they have and you're a little jealous of.
Wow. Anybody with a forehand? I mean, I would kill to have Big Germ's forehand.
Where are you at on the forehand game? Because we talked to your brother a little bit about this as well.
Yeah, that's so bizarre. Two brothers. Okay, hear me out. Two brothers. Really good. You should be throwing stuff when you're younger, playing catch, doing all that stuff, like baseball catch, football catch. What happened?
Where is the forehand?
Where's the forehand game, man?
We grew up playing disc golf.
There you go.
I was 3, so that's all I learned. I didn't play baseball. I didn't play anything else, and that was the only way I learned. So.
Oh wow, you look like a baseball player.
What is closer to being ready for a tournament? A forehand or a tomahawk, Jake Wolf style?
A forehand.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I can get. I should have gone forehand on 11. I was thinking about it. I can throw that pretty well.
The way easier shot.
I know, but yeah, I had done the backhand a couple times in practice and been fine with it, so I didn't really think about it. But I also never been that far up there, so.
It's so weird because when Isaac was on here, we were talking about the same thing. We've also had like forehand dominant people on here as well, and it's like at a certain point though, you start thinking like, yeah, but Ezra's just getting really good at backhands. And you're never having to think like, oh, is it a forehand here or a backhand? You're always stepping. And I'm wondering, like, on certain courses, especially, that might be advantageous of where you just know it's a backhand and you're just, you don't have to practice both. I don't know. Something to think about. But all right, brother. Well, shout out your sponsors. Shout out all your people that make it possible, your fans and everything that make it possible for you to tour and do what you love.
Great. I would like to shout out my sponsors: Prodigy Discs, Flight Factory Discs, Diameter Apparel, Dirty Birdie, Ironwood Fitness, Backstage Organics. Let's see. And yeah, shout out to my wife who's actually home right now. She'll join me in Preserve. And then all my family back home. Miss them a ton. The Walton County Club, back in my hometown. And yeah, just everybody who supports me and just lets me do what I like to do. And it's been great. And I love all the support. So
heck yeah. Well, just looking at the chat, you got a whole bunch of people here that are listening that are hoping that we finally get to see that win. I know it's right there as well. Good luck and have fun in Kayak Point and safe travels, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ezra Robinson there. What a class act. Great guy. And I mean, it's tough to root against that guy, right? Like
impossible.
He's one of those guys where like at the end you're kind of like, I guess I kind of want this guy to win. So he's close, man. When you get this close, it's only a matter of time. And talking about someone that has been so close to winning and finally doing it, and not just doing it in like Humpty Dumpty got their first win on tour, but maybe one of the most dramatic, most exciting finishes we have ever seen. Holyn Handley rejoins tour life. Holyn, appreciate you. Thank you for jumping back on here with us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
How is the vocal cords after that scream on hole 18? Did you have to do with some like ginger shots or anything afterwards?
No, they're pretty good. I could go do it all again, I think.
There's very few times. I don't know. I don't think Yuli, you were probably on the course, so you weren't watching live, or you were.
I was watching live. Yep.
Oh, you hadn't teed off yet. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Actually, goosebumps, and like
I
mean, I've had it happen when I'm watching Ohio State football. I've had it happen when I'm watching Florida basketball. I've had it happen in other sports. Very rarely has it happened in disc golf. Like the James Conrad shot at Worlds, like that made it happen. Paul's putt at Worlds at DDO on 17, that also happened. But like when you juiced that and turned around, I was ready. I was like. That's when I was like hoping there was going to be 3 more holes left. Like I was hoping there was going to be like more disc golf because I didn't want it to end. I guess the first question is, how does it feel now to finally say like, I got it done?
Oh my God. So good. I mean, 6 times this year was on the podium with an opportunity. 7 if you count DDO where I got 4th and definitely had an opportunity, and just like to be that close and never get it. I think I needed to have those failures for this weekend to happen. I think there were a bunch of different little things that, I've been getting better and better and better at since like all the way back to Jonesboro, that finally just like, we finally saw it there, especially in those last 2 holes.
Yeah. And Silas, let's run the putt real quick. I got it right there. I think I have it there. Is that what it is? Hold on, let me check real quick. Yeah, I think we should have the putt. In case someone didn't miss this, this is definitely one of the greatest moments, I think, in FPO. Definitely this year for sure.
Oh, yes. This is the stuff dreams are made of.
What's your, because we just had we just had Ezra on, and you guys roughly kind of had the same situation a little bit, where you knew you had to make a putt on hole 18 to push the playoff. And he was kind of talking about his was like 60 feet or so. I think yours was probably in the 45, 50 foot range, so a little bit closer. But what's the thought? Are you stepping up, and are you having a different mental space stepping up to that putt than you would have if that was, day one, let's say?
Yeah, absolutely. The camera angle for the putt on 17, I feel like didn't really show actually how tricky that putt was, but that putt got me so fired up that I felt like I just entered a different mental space. It felt more like back when I was playing in college volleyball and you'd be in a big game and you get a massive kill and you turn around and you just scream in your teammate's face, which is kind of what happened. And it was Missy was the one that I kind of screamed right at, and I think it scared her a little bit. But yeah, I was just a lot of times a putt like that, I'd be a little bit nervous about it because I'd be thinking about what happens if I miss. But in that situation, I don't really care about what happens if I miss, because it's either make it or we're done. And so in a way, it almost makes it easier to give it a full bid. And I'd actually been practicing putts to elevated pins from about that range all week.
Oh, wow.
I had a table at my campsite and I put my basket on top of it, and I was working on deep putts because I knew the last two holes were going to be elevated pins, and there was a good chance that there might be a decisive circle 2 putt there. So glad I did that.
Were you, after you made that putt, obviously you probably have all the adrenaline on 18 going through you, but was there ever a moment where you're like, crap, I still haven't won this thing? Did there ever come any thoughts of doubt that you had to push away of oh no, now I'm in a playoff, I'm going to lose in a playoff, I'm going to own? Was there any doubts at all?
No, not once we got to the playoff, and I didn't actually know what the holes were, but as soon as the TD said it was 16, 17, 18 on loop, I was just oh, hell yeah, I got this. Because I feel like my game compared to Owen's game, I'm way better at those 3 holes.
Yeah.
Just because the distance advantage on the tee shot on 16, and then she's been trying to go that hyzer line for the approach, and she's got caught up, I think, every time except for maybe the first round. And I had all the momentum in the world. I was apparently I'm making putts from everywhere. So I just I was just hyped about it. I wasn't worried at all.
Yeah. How nice is it too, to kind of have the win that you did, how that hole ended up transpiring, how, you didn't have to make another putt really, right? How did that feel to just know that, hey, I got this in the book now?
Yeah, again, real good. I mean, a straddle putt's not the most comfortable thing for me. But yeah, I got into this headspace of I'm not missing anything. It's just extra focused and just no fear whatsoever. I wish I could feel that way all the time.
How far was the putt
it's
for
great.
the win?
Yeah, it's tough to tell from the angle.
Maybe 20 to 25. So not a
still not
gimme.
range. Yeah.
Yeah, not a gimme. Missable, but compared to the 2 I just made, nothing.
Yeah.
How thankful that are you that the Disc Golf Pro Tour doesn't put Gatorade in their water containers and they put water in them?
Extremely. I'm also grateful there was no ice in the bucket this time.
Oh. Was it a little chilly out there? Would it have been a little bit chilly getting iced?
It actually probably felt good. It was pretty warm. I had actually gotten dunked in the Clackamas earlier that week because we went rafting, and there's one rapid you go through, and we got flipped. So I was it's not as cold as that was. So.
Jeez. All right, let's kind of go through here the roller coaster on hole 17. At that moment in time, are you thinking that was seeing Owen do that to me I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And we're talking about her second shot. She throws, first off, I was kind of curious why she went forehand there and not just a backhand that's going to hyzer out. But she throws the flex forehand, kind of overturns it, kind of rolls her wrist or whatever, and throws it into the hill. And it ends up going, did it end up going OB too? Yeah, it ended up cut rolling going OB. Like how was that? Because I think in that moment you needed Own to do something like that to open the door for you. Because even if you go birdie to finish, you're not beating Own. So like did that like switch all of a sudden of like, holy crap, like I could win this thing now?
Honestly, I had thought all the way back on 15 that if I had a chance, it would come on, birdieing 15 and 16. And then if Owen made a mistake on 17. So I played with her the first round, and I know she goes that flex sidearm off the tee, which is not a great shot shape for that hole.
Yeah.
Whereas I know, like, as long as I throw something straight and I don't hit anything until at least way late, and if I really get a good shot off, I know eagle's in play for me. And then I got 2 really good shots off, and she kind of messed up her tee shot. And from where she was, I kind of thought I was going to gain 1 stroke because I didn't think she was going to get up and down from birdie from there. And so I don't know if she just felt like a little bit more pressure to kind of try and get it close. Going back and looking at it on camera, I didn't realize like how like in her face that hillside was. Mm-hmm. And she probably just felt, I don't know, I think she feels a little more comfortable with the sidearm when she's in kind of a pressure situation like that. And she was probably trying to like put it out right of that first tree. And then there's a ton of space on the left once you get past that first tree, and then you can fade it into the basket. So I don't know, she might've been trying to get a birdie look, but yeah, my jaw dropped when she threw it into the hill and it rolled OB. And I was like, well, there's your door. Let's make sure we get up and down, because I still had a little upshot and stuff to work with there. But I was more just like, all right, close the jaw, get the heart rate back down.
Talk about that upshot, because it looked like you left a little bit to be desired for on your approach. After she opens the door, then you step up. I mean, how far was that? 150 feet or something? Or was it a little farther?
Less than that. It was probably less than that. It was probably 120 would be my guess. It wasn't very far at all. And that's honestly my miss on those little touch approaches, is if I miss, I usually miss short. Okay. And I was trying to play for a little like scoot up into the wood chips, but I left it maybe a foot lower than it needed to be, and I just didn't get enough of a skip. And like looking at the lie, like it didn't look like I had anything at all. In fact, like Tyler told me he was just like so sad after that, because he was like, "Oh, here we go again." Like
him and everybody. I was sitting in a gas station parking lot, and I'm like, "Brad, we're not leaving the gas station. I don't want to lose service, because you know how the service gets going down into the course." So we're sitting there glued to it, and he threw that upshot, and I'm like, "Oh."
I know. Yeah, I messed it up, but then I just started like telling myself like, no, I'm clutch. I'm going to make this putt. I'm clutch. I'm going to make this putt. And I got up there and I like got all stretched out. I was like, there's a window. If I can get this like a little nose up and punch it through, there's a way to make this. And then when I saw it hit, like I got so pumped. Like it probably would have been similar to the 18 reaction if I wasn't like in a splits almost.
Am I not thinking correctly? Didn't you make a massive putt on hole 17? It was the old hole. Wasn't that last year or was that 2 years ago?
That was last year to save par, yeah.
Okay. Does that ever like pop in your head, like when you're like those good vibes, good feelings of this hole? Like I've made a huge putt on this hole before. Granted, it's a different pin location, different spot, but like does that help? Do you kind of go back to that and think about those moments before you have to make a big putt?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's like so important for having the confidence to run those kind of putts, of just knowing like, yeah, I haven't won yet, but I've had some really clutch moments in the past, including that one on 17. And then after the putt, I just had the thought of like, man, me and hole 17, we just got to make it interesting.
Yeah. All right. So this wasn't brought up last week, or at least I didn't see it get brought up last week on any of the podcasts that Paige went on to. So I got to ask you, saying asterisk, Kristen wasn't there, Evelina wasn't there. What are your thoughts? Because my take is always you have to beat the people that are there. Mm-hmm. And there are people in the field that have beaten Kristen, that have beaten Evelina. So it's not like one of, what was that tournament last year, the Zootown, whatever, that was like four FPO players. Like it's not that. But what do you have to say for those kind of people that are maybe discrediting this win and being like, let's see if she can beat Kristen and Evelina and Henna and all of them when they come back?
I mean, yeah, it's like you said, I can't control who shows up. I would love for them to be at every event I'm at, because I think that's better competition when we have a deeper field, and that's just better for our division. But I can't control when they do or don't show up. I can only try to beat the people who are there. And, we can give a little more credit to the FPO players that were there. Because, we still had Missy, we still had Ohm, we still had Cat Merch, we still had Ella. Like, we still had we had Valerie. We had a lot of really, really good players who have wins and who have, like you said, even beaten Kristen at times. So, like, it's definitely a win. There's no asterisk. I'll have plenty of opportunities to battle the Europeans when they come back.
So this win, how does that change the rest of your year? Because, looking at what you've done so far this year, 3rd at Chess, 3rd at Waco, 2nd at Jonesboro, 2nd at Music City, 4th at DDO, 3rd at OTB, 2nd at Portland. Like, a couple things change here and there, a couple throws, a couple putts, and all of a sudden we're saying Holyn Handley right now, we thought we saw the most dominant season ever in FPO last year. Holyn Handley's having the most dominant season ever this year. That's how close the margin is. So getting the win now, do you foresee that being a massive change in the rest of the year? Or is it going to be like, hey, I'm just showing up and taking care of business like I always have?
Yeah, I think every single one of those situations where I got close and didn't get it was like a really, really good learning opportunity. I learned a lot of really good stuff, kind of starting with Jonesboro, about how to kind of, for me, create confidence and belief in myself and how like actually powerful that is in terms of my performances. And, I think what this is this little breakthrough it was just like a little bit better, like a few shots here and there that were a little bit better because, I didn't go into that last round thinking I had to do something amazing and then have a slow start and then, crash and burn, which I've done before, or have a round where I'm a little bit behind and I start freaking out and getting aggressive, which I've done before, and then just lose by even more. And then, when my mind did start to kind of go to a bad place and start thinking things were worse than they were, like being able to reset on hole 15 and then do what I needed to do and wait for that opportunity and be patient and wait for that opportunity. Like all of these lessons that I've learned from those failures helped make this one happen. And I like have that going forward. So I think that more so than just the win itself, but all of those little lessons are what's going to make the difference.
Another like one small thing that I felt like in my career always helped me was seeing my friends win as well. Like seeing Ella win for the first time a couple weeks ago. Like I remember seeing people at my kind of same skill level or we hadn't won before and then they won. And then I was like, well, if he can win, I can win for sure. Did that help you at all? Did you bring any sort of confidence from that?
I mean, yeah, definitely. And the crazy thing about OTB is like we had averaged both of us 10 down each round. And I went into that round thinking like, well, shoot, I got to shoot a 10 down again. And when I had that slow start, I think hole 9, I consider like kind of the round killer hole there where I threw it OB on my second shot. And then I get to the end and it turns out like 5 down is all that she ended up doing to win. Like I didn't actually have to do anything spectacular. If I had just played decent, I would have been in the mix. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the lesson, watching Ella win was like, you just never know what it's actually going to take on that final day. It's better to just like stay in your lane and not really like worry about the score too much until the end where there is actually some match play.
How are you with social media? How has that been kind of throughout this season for you? Is that something that you kind of just, because we have seen you post. You actually post a lot. If you guys don't follow Holyn on Instagram, definitely give her a follow. And she posts a lot of really good content. You can go back and scroll through a lot of cool, like little tips and tricks. But how has the social media been for you? It sounds like I didn't know that this was happening, but it sounds like you and Ella are starting practice rounds together too, which is cool. But are you kind of in the realm right now where you post content, you put it out there, and then that's it? Or are you reading comments? Are you going on Reddit and reading stuff written about you? Where are you at on like the social media side?
Probably overall paying a lot less attention to social media. I don't even subscribe to the Art Disc Golf on Reddit anymore. I don't listen to any podcasts or like any news sources about disc golf.
Tour life.
It's pretty much just sorry guys. But nothing against you guys. But it's just my Instagram and now my YouTube. Ella and I've started doing practice rounds together, which funny thing, so far 3 for 3, whoever posts the back 9 wins the tournament. Because at OTB Open, I posted the front, Ella posted the back, Ella wins. Ella couldn't do it Portland Open, so I asked Paige to do it with me. I post the front, she posts the back, Paige wins. And I told Ella for Beaver, we're switching because it's my turn.
How cool.
So now you have to sell the rights to post the back 9 at the next tournament.
Yeah, I think I'm auctioning it off for preserve. So whoever wants to pay me the most.
So you really aren't paying attention too much and engaging with, obviously you're engaging with some of your fans, I'm sure, on your Instagrams and DMs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like we all know, you know, fame, fortune, money, all that stuff. Now the haters kind of come out a little bit more. You're going to have people watching you and seeing what your every move is doing. But you're able to kind of block that out and just focus on your game and what you're trying to do on the course.
Yeah, I mean, I keep like the circle, you know, my circle pretty tight of like the people whose opinions matter to me. Because like honestly, strangers and like what they have to say, I just don't really care. They only see such a small snapshot of what I'm actually doing. So like they can't possibly have an informed opinion. And so I find it just like frustrating to read that stuff, whether it's good or bad. It's usually just not fully informed. And I find it just a lot easier if I just don't engage with it, don't read it at all.
Yeah, I do want to just make a comment real quick, because last time we had you on here, you know, we had that controversial call in hole 18 and we talked about it and all that. And I think, you know, a lot of people have held on to that call with you. And the one thing that I will say is, like, we all make mistakes. We all say stuff where we think we saw something, it didn't happen. For me, it's like, if there's a pattern, then that is a problem, right? If someone plays slow for one hole or one shot, whatever. But if every tournament they're playing slow, and the thing that jumped out at me was, I believe it was hole 10 at OTB Open. You almost threw a very identical shot to hole 18 at women's. I think it was hole 10, right? It never crossed. Yeah. It never crossed, but you had people on your card that were kind of almost leaning towards like, you know, if you want to take it up here, you maybe could. And you were very adamant, like it did not cross. And so for all those people that are out there, I think that's just one thing to always look at, is you got to see a pattern. And so I just want to throw that out to you, because I've been watching your game and stuff, and I've seen, you know, I haven't seen anything that's jumped out at me. So that to me is something that I think should be left in the past, and people should move on from that. So I'll say that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It might not. People love holding on to stuff. It might not, but I did want to just throw that out there. Okay, so are you excited now to kind of get, like, is that excitement now of like getting out to the next tournament? Like, how does that feel? Is anything changing? Or are you like, I'm just going to do my same practice routine? Yeah,
aside from the back 9 being posted,
yes.
Anything
like
changing? Are
you superstitious at all? Like, did you do something weird or anything different at the beginning of this tournament that you're going to be like, I need to start doing that at the beginning of every tournament?
Honestly, no. I stick pretty faithfully to my routines. I'll make little tweaks, like little experimental tweaks, just to see, you know, if I could do something a little bit better. I'm pretty happy with how I prepare for tournaments. It's generally been 2 practice rounds and a day of field work that's usually working on upshots. I feel like it gives me plenty of rest. Usually try to do something fun during the week so that I'm not feeling stressed or anything. It's just like whatever I can do to create an environment where I go into round 1, like just really excited to play and really loving disc golf. That usually leads to good things. So yeah, pretty much just going to keep things the same.
Real quick, Barry wants to know what your channel is called on YouTube so they can watch your practice rounds.
I think it's just my name and then 8444. I don't know where that number came from. I think it was just generated by YouTube. I don't know.
What kind of branding is that? Is that your area code?
I'm still figuring YouTube out. All right, but
I'm guessing if you search Holyn Handley and then disc golf,
you'll find it.
And like maybe do like Beaver State Fling, you'll probably get all the Jomez, but then you can probably find it from there. Okay, I do want to ask about one part of your game.
I do
go
have
ahead,
a
Yuli, go.
suggestion real quick for your YouTube channel.
Oh, here we
Hit
go.
me, please.
I think this would be pretty fascinating. So, Paul Macbeth and AB have been posting their Luna rounds.
I see where you're going here.
Their Luna rounds on the FPO layout. I think it would be awesome if you invited them to be on your channel, and then you battle them with their Lunas and take them down.
With their Lunas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. I think it'd be a
that'd
fire
be fun.
video. You would gain a lot of subscribers. So that's my input into the social media game.
All right.
There it is. The ball's in AB and Paul's court now. Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about your game. So I have noticed like a huge improvement in your forehand over the last couple of years. It seems like it's a part of your game that can really set you apart with a lot from the FPO field, because there's only a handful of people in FPO that have a really solid forehand, and then there's like a very small amount of people that have like good distance forehand, right? There's a lot of serviceable forehands, but you're one of the few that have the good distance as well. So I view your forehand, and correct me if I'm wrong, I view your forehand super high ceiling. Like, I think you can throw the best forehands as anyone else. Haley King, I think, is up there. I think Ella is up there. Evelina is up there. I think you can throw forehands just as good as they can. But the one part of the game that I see, and I'm wondering, is there anything that you're working on with this, is I feel like your floor with your forehand is pretty low. Like I've seen a couple forehands, hole one, of where it's just like to me it seems like that's always the miss, is it's just like you kind of burn it over to the left, and sometimes it really bites you. Is that something that you are actively like working on and trying to figure out, like, how do I eliminate that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was having a lot of forehand troubles during the Texas swing, actually. And so, and also in the off season, like you said, and when I get on that Anheuser angle, that's usually when I get into trouble. And a lot of times, even still, I try to build my game plan avoiding that shot if I can. And then I use the sidearm, kind of stick to more hyzer angles. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but a lot of times, like, my backhand's good enough that, I can kind of make it work without needing it so much. But yeah, that was something I worked on a lot this off season, was like throwing the Anheuser angle without like messing up the height. Cause usually I'll either throw it in the ground or I'll get the nose up and it'll kind of stall out on me. And then I was having some like major troubles, especially around the Texas States. Like to the point where I like was nervous to even throw just a simple hyzer because I didn't know where it was coming out. And so I kind of slowed down my walk up, kind of taking more of like how like Albert Tom throws his, where he just like walks up really, really slow and then just has like this cannon like snap. So almost like taking a little off just to have more control. And like that's made a huge difference. And then just like focusing on the target a little bit more and not letting my eyes kind of wander as I'm walking up. Has been really helpful. And then I think like the last few tournaments, I've really liked how my sidearm looked. There were a couple of times, even this past weekend, where I did go to a flex sidearm, and it went well. I didn't burn anything into the ground. At the very least, I got the height and the angle right. Maybe I got the left to right a little bit wrong. But yeah, it's definitely something that I've been working on a lot, and I think has gotten a lot better even just this year.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people obviously talk about Kristen having this like complete game. And I do think the one thing that she is limited on is her distance. Like, I don't think she throws nearly as far as you or Ella or Evelina, backhand and especially forehand. And so to me, I think in a way, Kristen has pushed the FPO field this last couple seasons, right? Of everyone being like, we need to get better. And I feel like you guys can actually almost push Kristen now, because if you guys are starting to, be able to throw hyzer backhands or hyzer forehands into certain holes and make it so much more easier for you, that might be something that Kristen then also looks at and goes, all right, I got to figure out how to get more speed. I need to get a little bit faster. So I think right now I love seeing it in the FPO side, just everyone kind of elevating each other and pushing each other, because a tournament like this last tournament, like, I want to see more of that. I don't want to see tournaments where it's one person is, basically beating everyone else because everyone else is missing 20-footers or throwing out of bounds. Like, that's not really exciting. So, I thought this past tournament was really, really awesome. All right, Yuli, do you have anything else? Because I do have a question. And hopefully, I don't know how long it's been. It's probably been what, 6 or 8 months since you've been on. So you've had plenty of time to think about maybe a new one. Do we got any pet peeves? We got any new pet peeves here?
Let's see, new pet peeves. I have lots of pet peeves. Yeah, okay, I have one for you. It's players players that are on your card who talk to you like you're their caddy.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
That's a new one. I
Are
like
you dropping
that one.
any names, Holyn?
I'm not gonna drop any names.
don't,
I'm
no,
not
don't
trying
do
to
it, don't
start
do it.
stuff. I mean, these people know who they are. But I mean, like good or bad. Like if I'm having a bad round and you're having, like there are players who all having a bad round, they're having a better round, and they'll come up and tell me how bad of a round they're having and how they just don't feel like, or they don't feel like their putt's there, they're missing everything, or they're feeling bad at this shot, or they're telling me like, oh, I missed it this way yesterday, and I'm just like, I don't want to hear this.
Yes. Do you think that only happens from players that don't have caddies, or are they still doing that even if they have a caddy?
There are players who have caddies
And
who
they
do
still
this.
do that.
Yes.
Have you ever thought about throwing an elbow?
I will intentionally like catch myself walking with them, and then like before they can talk to me, just like stop and like go back and be like, I gotta wait for my caddy.
Make it a point.
Yeah, I just try to avoid walking next to them because I'm like, if we're not like in the vicinity. But then there are players who will like beeline toward they'll like, cling to one person. They'll just like beeline to them and go talk about like, oh, I just so mad I missed that putt. And they're like, what do you want me to do about it?
I think that's got to be like more, because you're not someone that like played disc golf. You're kind of like me. We played other sports and then we got into disc golf later in life. I think that's very much like a disc golf thing of people like growing up playing leagues, C tiers, flex starts, and like everyone almost on, because I kind of felt this too, is like almost every time you're on a card, you almost sometimes get a vibe of it's like your card versus every other card. And you're all on a team and you're all rooting for each other and it's stuff. And it's like, yeah, but if you were on my card, I wouldn't be rooting for you. I wouldn't be like wanting you to beat me. So why is it changed when you come on my card? And so there is this kind of like weird thing of where everyone wants to with you. I despise it. It's like, bro, I don't want to hear about your struggles that is happening right now. And you have a hangnail and you don't have any Band-Aids and you don't know what you're going to do. I don't want to hear that. Even if you're my friend, I don't really want to hear that. Like, that's the other thing.
Yeah. Like it's one thing, I think, to talk.
I never miss those putts. That's a good one.
What are some options, or what discs are you throwing? Because sometimes, like, if I got a Discraft player, and I haven't played with him in a while, I might be like, oh, you throwing the new
I think
whatever.
that's illegal.
And we'll have a little
I think
bit
that
of
should be illegal.
Really? Wow.
I think that should be illegal. Right? Isn't that kind of advantageous a little bit?
Yeah, you shouldn't know what I'm throwing.
Maybe.
Like you shouldn't, like if Yuli throws a shot and turns around, and he's 60 feet short. I shouldn't be like, hey, Yuli, what'd you throw there? And him being like, I threw a Raptor, and me being like, oh, I should probably throw a 4. So
or sometimes I even ask this question. I go, how stable was that? And then they'll go, oh, that's my most stable.
Yes.
That's a huge advantage.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if we should be allowed to do that.
With, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
With, though, because there's so like if Ella does that, like I can make adjustments based off of how Ella does because our games are close enough. But if I'm playing with like Valerie, like we throw completely different speeds, we throw completely different molds. Like I can't even make adjustments, based off of her game. So I honestly try not to, because I feel like usually it just like makes me overthink if anything. But yeah, I don't want to be someone's caddy. I got my own like problems to worry about.
That's such a good one. And are you on the side of like having a caddy? Are you like a huge having a caddy kind of at tournaments?
Oh yeah, I have a caddy. I've got Tyler caddies for me every single round, and like I think having him carry my bag adds like 40-50 feet on tournament day in terms of distance, and just makes everything so much easier.
I think that's a great shirt. I'm not your caddy. That's a fantastic shirt.
Silas, let's talk to the guys. Maybe we can collab with Holyn. Holyn, we'll send you some a little cut of it. I'm not your caddy.
Heck yeah.
That's hilarious.
And if we want, we can have 2 versions. We can have a well, no, I'm not gonna say it. Go ahead, Yuli, go.
No, that's okay. So anybody else, you're looking at their game and you're like, that was looking pretty good. Wish I had that.
Oh man, I don't know so much. I wish I had that, but I do look a lot at how players like Missy own, who maybe don't have like every single shot, but how they're able to be really, really good at a few shots, break a course down into those few shots, and then do really well consistently.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, like the more distance, more power you have, the more important it is to have control. And so trying to like really lean on my strengths in tournament time, and then, work on the other shots, obviously in the background, but like, not go force a shot that I've been working on because I'm excited about it. Instead, like it's tournament time. We need to do well. Let's stick to our strengths. So really I do take some inspiration from that on that.
Love that.
That's awesome. Well, I will say this, Holyn, I hope to see you continue to kind of have this trend upwards, because the battle between you and Owen was electric. Now I think we're all interested to see you battle against Kristen, battle against Paige, battle against Evelina. I think that's what we are all eager and after. And we haven't talked about this yet, but what are your thoughts on being one of the captain's picks for the European Open President's Cup? Is that a goal?
Well, so I'm actually not going to Europe this year.
Well,
they
never
did offer me a
mind.
spot.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
they did offer me a spot,
Oh, nice.
But I'm not going this year, so I had to decline the spot, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Very well. Very awesome. Well, next tournament is Preserve, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Well, safe travels there and continue on. It was, like I said, one of the more exciting moments I've seen in FPO, and hopefully we see many more as well. We appreciate you coming on. Oh,
Yeah,
shout out your stuff real quick, because I was actually throwing your Vulture. The what was that run that we did? Was it like Z Jawbreaker or something that we did?
Jawbreaker, Z Flex, Vulture, the Tour Series. Yeah,
I like it.
they're nice.
I like it a lot. So real quick, sorry, before you go, shout out your sponsors, any discs or anything like that, people can check you out.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's my Tour Series, which is pretty much available everywhere. TeamDiscraft.com. There's a ton of other stuff on there. Undertakers, Heats, my putters are up there. If you want one of my signature polos, FlightFactoryDiscs.com is the best place. And if you want a cool dyed disc, go check out Throjos.
And if you want to win at Preserve, make sure you pay enough money to get on Holyn's Back Nine channel. So there you have it. Holyn, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Your 2023 Beaver State Fling champion, ladies and gentlemen, Holyn Handley.
Good stuff.
I'm ready to see the comp that I have for Holyn right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Yuli. Haley King.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yep.
Has all the tools to be an elite player. I mean, she's already obviously an elite FPO player, but has like all the tools to be like someone
Dominant.
that push. I said 2023. It's 2024. Apologies. I'm living in the past. Well, chat doesn't even let me sleep on that. Has all the tools to get it done. And I'm ready to see what happens these next couple months.
Same.
That's
a bummer she's not going to Europe. That would have been cool.
I know.
Everybody's
The European Open
would
would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been great, but it is what it is. All right, let's hop back into FMPO. We'll finish up. Let's actually finish up FPO real quick, since we just had Holyn on, and then we'll bounce back to MPO. First thing I got to ask you, is this an illegal putt? I posted this on Twitter. The responses I got were crazy, first off, but I posted this on Twitter. Illegal or not legal? Or illegal or illegal?
30 on 18 after the park job. Johnson home. 18 after the park job. Johnson home.
What's bad about it?
Were you able to see it or no?
No.
Oh, okay. She touches the basket before the disc goes in. So she kind of like dunks it, kind of. And we've seen a lot of people do this.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
What are we doing here? What do you mean?
I was just asking a question.
What the heck? Yeah, of course it's legal.
Okay.
Just put it in the basket.
No, you could. I didn't know you could slam dunk it. I didn't know you could slam dunk it. That's all. That was literally my only question. I think that could be electric now. Slam dunks in the future.
Okay.
All I'm saying. Daniel, I'm not always looking for controversy. I'm literally asking a question because the first time, okay, hear me out. First time Kelsey played in a tournament, we had people that like where Owen was, right? A putt where you're never going to miss, walked up and they would just smack the chains with the disc in their hand and walk off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's illegal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So at a certain point, you have to draw a line of what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Well,
Golf,
there was a rule where people were going over and they were just placing it in, not letting go and lifting it.
Is that illegal?
I think so. I think that's pretty legal. I think you gotta at least let it go.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me you had to actually make a putting motion. That was what the rule was.
Oh, I think that's crazy. But my question, and again, a lot of this is not so much like I'm trying to find something. It's more of like, should certain rules change that are currently in disc golf? And my thought was you can't touch anything in front of your lie. But then someone had a really good point, was saying like if you had like a tree or long grass or something in front of your lie, you're still able to throw as well. So it's like I think the rule technically is you can't touch something in front of your lie to support your balance.
Yes.
So there I think that is fine. But it was one of those where we have seen, like you said, I have seen people, because I think you also have to wait for the disc to come to rest, I think is also a rule. So like if you drop it in and the disc is like moving around, technically you can't pick it up and walk out with it.
Technically.
So just throwing it out there. And this is the same thing in golf. Like you can't, if you have a 1-inch putt, you can't put your putter behind the ball and like roll it in. Right? You also can't, like if you miss a putt and the ball's on the other side of the hole, you can't rake it in from the other side.
Yeah, you gotta pop it.
You can't even pop it because you can't stand in between.
Right.
Right. So like, even though, yes, no one's ever going to miss a 1-inch putt, it's still a rule. So I'm literally just throwing it out there. Again, like people are like, oh, Brodie. There are people that think they can just walk up to the basket and smack it with their chains and think that's legal. So I'm trying to just throw it out there because
recreational tournaments are hilarious, by the way. If you watch a recreational round, it's the funniest thing you'll ever see in your life. It's awesome.
Yeah, because the thing that really was interesting to me when I posted this on Twitter wasn't people just saying it's legal, it's not illegal. There were people saying it's illegal, but it shouldn't be called. It's illegal, but who cares? And to me, that's where it's like, well, then why do we have rules?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing with what Ezra was saying with the time situation. So I'll throw that out there. The next thing I want to talk about, FPO. Did you see this? Holly Finley, Noah Five-Ash, both.
I did.
Both acing the same hole on the same day. I think it was his birthday too.
Yeah.
So shout out to Holly and Noah. I think they also made Sports Center too, top 10.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So absolutely incredible. Very, very cool. Let's see. What else did I have? The other thing, I mean, Owen, obviously tough. I mean, she has to throw one okay shot and she wins that tournament. Right? And I know we were trying to get her on the pod, but she's got a very, very busy week because she's right now getting ready, I think, for Masters.
They played today, I think.
The start of the tournament was today?
Yeah, I'm going to look real quick to see what place she's in.
Oh, my gosh. Wait, why is it on a Tuesday?
Yeah,
What's
they
going
started
on
on a Tuesday, dude.
Wait, why?
I was looking at my brother, who's currently in 14th. Shout out to Big Bro.
Shout out, Big Bro. Let's go.
Out there getting after it. Joe Revere, 4-stroke lead with a bad shoulder. He tore something in his shoulder, apparently. I was watching the press conference, and he's like, yeah, I'm not, I'm 65%. Drops a little 12 ball on the field. Second place is 8 under.
He's someone that could win on tour. That doesn't tour.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the guys that could win
Owen's
on
currently
tour.
Got a 6-stroke lead over Jennifer Allen.
Jeez.
Round one.
Well, Yeah, that was tough to watch with Own, but all in all, like I said with I'm getting all Holyn. I was about to say Holly. What I said with Holyn about the level of play, like the level of play at Beaver State Fling was actually really good.
Really
So
good.
it was really fun to watch. I think also, again, a lot of that has to do with the course, right? Playing the right distances, making sure the shots are like all those things matter so much. So I thought this course played really well for the FPO field, and it was a very enjoyable tournament to watch.
Shout out to my boy Brad too, who's playing out there.
Oh, let's go, Brad.
He's in 12th right now, but he's only 5 off the lead. So
Striking distance.
He's right
Striking
there.
distance. Other shout out to Silva. Silva takes down a win. I think this is her back-to-back wins actually right now. She won by 8 at the DGPT Silver Inola Open. I want to say people can get all with me with the pronunciation there, but shout out to Silva there. All right, it's gonna be exciting to
and
see.
Jakob won.
Okay, I didn't see that, but shout out to Jakob.
Yeah.
It's gonna be exciting to see a full FPO field. We've got Holyn taking a win down. We've got Ella taking a win down. We got Paige taking a win down. That hopefully will be electric when they all are back together playing full. All right, let's see what else we got. We got to talk about Luke Humphreys. I talked about this a little bit. For those that are confused, we filmed debate night right before Tour Life. So a lot of the stuff I say on debate night is the first time I say it, and I'm actually saying it the second time here, but you'll see me say it in the future. And this is one thing I said. Yuli, you ready for this? We're literally one shot at each tournament. One shot at Waco, one shot at Beaver State Fling of saying that Luke Humphreys is having the best season on tour. One of the best. Maybe not the best, but the best.
Yeah, I mean that's overreacting. But
you would eliminate 2 wins from Gannon. So Gannon would not be in the conversation. Luke would have 2 wins. So it'd be Luke and AB, and Luke would be coming off a win this weekend. And AB would be coming off one of his worst finishes.
Yeah.
I know his consistency's not there. I know he's a little bit more of a roller coaster. I'm just saying we're not that far off from Luke having 2 wins this year. And that's crazy.
It's wild. It's sad to me watching that happen. I thought he was going to do it.
Tell me what did he do the wrong thing at all on 17? Mm-hmm. Was his decision making incorrect there?
He did, yeah.
Should he have just played for par, you think? And try to birdie 18 to win it?
I think he did the right thing by going for it, but I think that his miss has to be left. It can never be by those branches. I think he got extremely unlucky also, though.
He got lucky on a bad shot.
I don't think it was that bad of a shot. Typically, stuff hits those things and they get across still. So I'll push back a little bit because you have to take on those branches in his position.
That's the only thing is I'm trying to remember.
It's not a bad
the
shot.
Angle.
It was like he's up there, so he has to take them on, kind of.
There wasn't a way for him just to hyzer out to the left.
He could have done that, but you can't even hyzering out left. You have so long to get to where you have a very manageable upshot. The ceiling then gets really low.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still tight. You got to think. So now if you're in bounds on the left side and you just laid up, you have about a 250-foot shot to where you have to go around those trees.
Well, I was saying that he would just lay up for par.
That's what I'm saying. That layup for par isn't that easy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
Because look at what Ezra did. He went across and he had a tough time.
I see what you're saying.
Getting in position for the birdie.
Yeah, it was tough to see that on coverage.
Yes. His big mistake was, in my opinion, is going for the island after he went out of bounds.
Okay, so let's talk that out. So he would have been in and 2, out and 3.
He takes bogey.
He pitches up to, you take double probably.
No,
Are you assuming he makes the putt for bogey?
So he throws
across
it up,
the island?
He goes out of bounds. He throws it up there, pushes on the island, taps in. That's a bogey.
Oh, because you are playing it as a par 5.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So his big mistake was going for it. I think he got a little unlucky with his shot. I'm fine with the shot. I think he should have been aiming more left to where he doesn't. The miss has to be left there.
Yeah.
So that's the first mistake. But he could have been aiming left and pulled it a little bit. We don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is all just your own theory. But his big mistake, you can't go for the island from there. You can, and you can be a hero, but what do you get? A par? Like, you have to put it, even if Gannon birdies, you're down by 2 with the last hole. There's still a chance. There's still a chance. And he ends up parring, then you only lose 1 to him.
Yeah.
And now birdie gets you back in the playoff. Like, you cannot go for the island right there, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Well, let's talk about another person that kind of botched their shot, their chance of winning on 17 is Ricky's upshot. Like, that was surprising to me that he wasn't able to stick that upshot. It's a tough upshot. And I think that's what makes that hole really good, is because that forced carry that you have to have, if you're going to lay up, you're laying up to like a 45, 50 footer.
Here's a point I like to make too. In this game, we've lost the touch. We've lost it.
He's just trying to throw it into the hill and have it kill its speed.
That's what everybody's doing. We saw even Calvin did that, right? He's trying to just burn it into the hill. He doesn't. We've lost that part of the game. I'm worse at it now than I've ever been because we don't do it. I would love to see more holes like that, to where you have to display a lot of low ceiling touch. Like that nose up touch shot is so tough,
where
man.
It's so much more spin. It's so much more wrist and spin than arm.
And then guess what? When you get under pressure, and you have to do that, it's the hardest shot to do. You know?
Yeah, it's that little touchy touch, boy.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier to throw a hard shot straight into the ground and let it just.
You give them a little height and they're good at it. You know what I mean? But then you've low ceiling. All of a sudden, you're like, that's when the nerves take over, because you can't make the mistake of leaving it short. So then you're like, okay, I'm going to pound it into the hillside.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Luke Humphreys had one of the crazier skips I've ever seen on hole 5.
Yeah, that was wild.
It had to have hit a stick or a rock or something, because that disc normally just stays on the ground and just slides up next to the curb. But it I think it hit something and it popped it up.
Got airborne, yeah.
That was nuts. Let's talk AB real quick. One of his worst finish all season. Finished in 64th, I believe. I asked if you before the pod, I asked if you had talked to him. Any information on that, or it's like he just had an off week?
Yeah, I think it's just an off week. I didn't really look at how he did last year, but I don't think it was great.
I wonder if this course is tough for him.
And that's what I think. I think it might be a little bit.
I don't know if that shot is like his go-to. That like flat to like Anheuser, and you need that a lot out there.
Yeah.
So
you also need it a lot in Portland.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that great in Portland as well.
No. That is correct. Okay, Nate Doss. You got to play with him first round. Honestly, I think we were all probably a little bit on the dream side, thinking that he was just going to go out there and shred. Like, I was hoping to see it. I was a little optimistic on that side. He definitely showed some rust and nerves on that first day. But I love how he finished the tournament. Round 2 and round 3. Didn't have the greatest round 3. But he could have easily just kind of fallen into a hole and been like, whatever. Like, he battled round 2. I think shot 4 or 5 under. Pretty good round. And then I think he was 1 or 2 under in round 3.
Yeah.
So with all the stuff going on, like I feel pretty positive. Were you able to talk to him at all to see, what his reaction was to it?
Yeah, he said it was all just bonus to him. He's like he was in good frame of mind. He said one of the things that really stuck with me. He said, "It doesn't matter how I do. Everybody's happy that I'm here, so I'm doing my job." And he's 100% right. We're all just happy that he was there. Like, I was stoked to play with him again. Like I said, it was one of my favorite rounds of the year. It was just really fun. And he said that on like hole 3. He's like, it doesn't matter. He's like, it doesn't matter if I throw a bad shot. People are just going to be happy that I threw a bad shot. I'm like, that's a great way to look at it, because he's right.
Did you get any sense that we might see more of him?
Here's the thing with Nate. He says what he means, and he means what he says. Like, there's no, he's
not going to Tom Brady.
He's not talking in
unretire.
riddles.
Okay.
Like, he wanted to play the tournament so that he could play the U.S. Championship, and I believe that's exactly why he was there.
All right. Very well. Very well. Did you get to see Gavin spit out on hole 16?
Yes, I was there live when that happened.
What are your thoughts? Too fast?
Of course.
Okay. What else do I have on here? Do you think no, we're about to get to that here in a second, Patrick. Do you think Ricky's tee shot on 18 on Saturday, the one that was like absolutely insane, like, you don't need all that distance, because Ricky had a chance to be in a playoff if he birdies 18. And then he kind of, goes for that same big, massive tee shot, turns it over too much, gets into the tree, he's done. Do you think that shot kind of was like, I don't know. Do you think he should have just thrown the hyzer, dropped, and then gave himself a chance?
Well, it depends on if he practiced it. If he ever practiced the backdoor route, then yeah, 100%. You got to give yourself a look, because one thing that I saw with that hyzer play is you always had looks from in there.
Okay.
For the most part. Even if you crashed and left, there were these little tiny little windows that you could kind of get through and give yourself a chance. I thought it was the right play. I thought the left gap was a sucker's play because of the big distance you had to get off the tee to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Calvin did back-to-back rounds. I mean, he based it back-to-back rounds. It's a harder shot than you think, but those guys have that shot dialed. I was a little surprised that wasn't a lot of their plays, but I mean, It wasn't a hole that was birdied a ton anyway, no matter which way you did it. So I kind of, if it was me, yes, I'm always the type of player to where I'm going to make the shot that's like has the highest percentage. Like, I want to throw a shot that's going to give me a birdie look a lot, but also I'm not going to take a bogey. And the way that he played it, like, it was the best shot. If he pures it, he looks like a genius.
Yeah, it's crazy too that he hasn't won yet this year.
He will.
Yeah, I mean, he's right there. So some other great finishes here. Gavin Rathbun's been playing great. Another top 5 finish for him. Calvin as well, another top 5 finish. Kyle Klein, Nicklaus, 2 guys in the top 10. Gavin Babcock has been, I think his ceiling has been great this season. Like, he's had a lot of good finishes. Luke Taylor, Casey White is in there. Chandler Fry had an incredible final round, shooting 10 under, jumping up 31 spots to 12th. Eagle also had an incredible final round, shooting 9 under, finishing in 12th. Zachary Nash, here's the name. The consistency isn't there, right? He was 13 under par going into the final day, shoots 4 under par, right? Consistency isn't there. We've seen some rounds like that. The dude's got an absolute cannon on both sides. He's someone to watch out for.
Huge ceiling.
If he sticks around, keeps practicing, if he gets the opportunity, someone to watch out for.
Absolutely.
Yuli with the top 15 finish. We got Isaac Robinson in the top 20 there. Let's see. Any notable names that didn't Paul Macbeth at 43rd, Ezra and Aaron both at 34th, with Adam as well. And then, there's just going to be a lot of big names that don't cash. I mean, it's just how it is moving forward. A lot of big names: Chris Clemens, Mason Ford, Coling, AB, obviously, we talked about him. Sexton, Sullivan Tipton. Yeah, a lot of names there. So, Presnell, interesting. I would think Presnell would be pretty suited for that course. Probably just had an off week, shot 3 over the final round. Not great. Yeah, only threw it inside the circle 4 times. That's going to do it. Looks like his upshots were brutal. So, but yeah, Beaver State Fling in the overall pretty good tournament. We got some stats here from Edwin. That's all from Ezra, so we can move past that actually. What else we got here? Okay. All right. I think we got most of the stuff we wanted to get down. Did you want to throw up the manufacturer cup updates real quick, Silas? If you got those? I can't read that. Silas, you want to read that off to the people? Silas might not have a mic. Oh. We hear you. Yeah, I can't. It's too small. Can you read that off for the people?
Yeah. So we got Gannon Buhr for the tournament. A lot of Discmania. Sorry, I'm trying to get this set here.
There we go.
There we go. So Discmania is up 1 spot. Discraft is down 1 spot. Discmania, as you can see, Gannon Buhr, Kyle Klein, Gavin Babcock, Nicholas Antela, and Casey White all in the top 10. So huge push for Discmania this past weekend. Discraft down 1. Innova still up there, top 3. Dynamic, then Prodigy, DGA, MVP, Westside, Castablast, and last but not least, Mint Discs. So yeah,
there you have it.
There's the update.
All right. If you didn't see the clip, here it is. So everyone can get some context. And go ahead and play it, Silas.
Things look different now from 10 years ago when Smashbox was the only show that there was any thought of going on, because we're the only podcast available pretty much after a tournament. And we know you've staggered stance last night. You're obviously talking to the upshot. Is there anything that any of us...
Staggered stance? What are you saying?
Nick and
the old Nick and Matt show. It's called Staggered Stance now.
You were on it last night, right?
Oh, no idea. I had no idea. Anyway, okay. Yes, I was on that show.
Yeah. And you have your own podcast, so.
Yeah, well, I definitely purposely skipped the whatever that other one's called with Brodie for this.
Oh, okay. I think they're tonight as well, and they go on before us.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's not your favorite one. Is that a fair statement?
No.
Okay.
Do not subscribe.
Any insight as to why?
I just think that I just think Yuli's a good friend of mine, so I love Yuli very much, but it's just too gossip and drama and just like speculation. Like, okay. I don't even think Brodie watches FPO at all, and he's just like saying all these things, and I just don't want to go on there and support.
All right, so that was a clip taken from Terry and JVD's podcast called Smashbox, which I think actually they might be live right now. So just to fill the context as much as possible, last show we kind of alluded to the fact that we didn't say that we try to get Paige on the show by name, but we did allude to the fact that we try to get someone on the podcast and they didn't come on. At first, when I sent her a text message, saying, "Hey, we'd love to have you on the pod," didn't get a response. I was like, okay, whatever, like that's fine. She might be busy, traveling, whatever. So then, I reached out to Yuli, said, "Hey, Yuli, we're trying to get Paige on. Can you see if you can get her on?" She didn't respond to your text message either. And so when we didn't hear from her, then I kind of knew like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then obviously I saw that she was on Smashbox, which I thought was like, okay, well, clearly then it wasn't like she was traveling or flying or whatever. And so when I got tagged and seeing that clip, I was like, okay, well, we have something to talk about next week, Yuli. And so I did a little bit of investigation on my end, because if you guys remember, we had Paige on the podcast, and we talked about a lot of stuff. And yeah, so basically May 6th. So I figured out kind of I locked it down a little bit. May 6th, and Silas, you can throw this up. This was a DM response that Paige had to one of my stories on May 6th of me saying one more year, congratulating my wife of going out and being a Raiderettes cheerleader again for the Las Vegas Raiders. And she responds nicely saying, yay, congrats to you both. Okay, so that was May 6th of this year, I believe, which wasn't that long ago. May 18th, I think this was last year. This was which is a full year ago. This was the tweet that we posted where it was Paige saying that she felt like she could be a top 40 MPO player. And so at a certain point, like I thought maybe like that tweet, but that was a year ago that tweet was posted. And then, almost a year later, she's basically congratulating me and my wife on the news. So whatever happened, it happened after May 6th. Something was said, something went down between May 6th and, last Tuesday that Paige decided to come after me, come after Tour Life. Do you want me to respond, Yuli, or do you want to respond first? How do you want to tackle this?
You can go. I'll save my thoughts.
Okay. So the first thing I want to say is a lot of people are saying, maybe I saw people kind of upset that Terry would even ask this question. And I even had Terry reach out to me saying like, hey, this is a question that I ask everyone, yada, yada. This is what I'll say on that. I was disappointed. Disappointed is not the right word. I was surprised by the response, not by the question, by the response of Terry and JVD. We've had Terry on the podcast. We've had JVD on the podcast. I would consider myself, I wouldn't say that we're like friends. It's not like I'm texting Terry like, hey, do you want to go out to get a bite? But I would say that we're friendly and cordial to one another. And I was surprised that there was no pushback on what Paige said to them. I'll say that. I wasn't surprised that he questioned her like, hey, why don't you like going on the whatever? I was surprised that there wasn't any mention of like, oh, I think Brodie and Yuli do watch FPO, or, oh, I don't think they actually talk that much about gossip over there. There was just laughter and shrugs off and moved on. So that was the first thing that I'll say. And this is what, last thing with the Terry thing too, is like, and I described this a little bit on debate night. Terry's not Barbara Walters in 60 Minutes. He's not sitting down and asking questions and not inputting any of his input into the conversation. Terry's opinionated. JVD's opinionated. They have opinions about a lot of stuff. They talk about a lot of stuff. I've seen Terry get super fired up to the point of where his face turns completely red because he's yelling at people on his podcast. He gets fired up and he loves it. The fact that they didn't respond at all, that says volumes to how they feel about me. And granted, yes, is that a weird spot for them to be in? 100%. I don't think they've ever interviewed someone that basically said like, hey, I don't like this person. So that was a first spot. But I'll say this, if they had someone that came on and said, I actually don't like Paige Pierce, I think she's terrible, I don't think their response would have been the same as towards mine. And I'll say that. So that's where, to me, I'll leave it at that. A little bit surprised there. Next thing, just to kind of break down what just to break down what she was saying about, first off, she thinks I don't watch FPO. Do I watch every single round? No. Do I watch every single live coverage? No. A lot of times I saw a lot of jokes. Perfect, good joke. I've made this joke before. A lot of times I'm playing at the same time as live coverage is. So I can't watch it. But I try to do my best to at least watch Jomez final round. Especially I watch it like front to beginning if we have a guest on, like Holyn, or if we have a guest on like Anakin. Anakin. I definitely try to do my best to watch it and have an idea. Now, so that's just false. Second thing, this idea of we're gossipy and drama. Let me give you the definition real quick of what drama is, ladies and gentlemen, okay? For those that are wondering, the definition of drama: an exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or set of circumstances. That is the definition of drama. Now, let me give you some antonyms of drama, things that are opposite of drama: monotonous, uneventful, uninterested, apathetic, indifferent, boring. Does that sound like anything you want your podcast to be? Does that sound like anything you want a sport to be? I think there's a huge misconception between gossip and drama. Those two things are vastly different. Gossip to me is rumors, talking about stuff that you're not 100% sure if it's factual. Drama, if we're speculating about someone's game, if we're speculating about maybe an injury, if we're speculating about things, that's what sports is. That's what you have to do with sports. And real quick, if you want to take a step out of disc golf and look at what's going on in other sports, stuff that we don't talk about, Yuli, and I hold a lot of pride in this. We don't talk about off the field stuff. We're not talking about that person does drugs. That person is drunk. We're not talking about their party things. We're not talking about their sexuality. We're not talking about who their partners are. We're not talking about anything. We're not talking about they just got divorced, or we're not talking about any of that stuff. And you better believe if disc golf ever gets more popular, that is going to be brought up. That stuff will be found out. There will be articles written about that. 1,000%. So over here, you want people to talk about you. You want people to watch you. You want people to praise you. You can't have it all. You can't have it all. And I don't know why the dogs are going nuts behind me. But to me, I find it very crazy when there's people over here saying, look at me, talk about me, talk about me. And then when you do, and you say something they don't like, they go, whoa. You can't say that. It can only be positive. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right. Well, a lot to unpack here. The first thing I want to say is I saw a lot of comments on, and this is just like across the board over the last however long it's been. And it kind of, I wanted to straighten something out. So a lot of comments saying, oh, because Paul's a team captain, he's going to just like smooth things over and do things the right way, which is true. But you don't get a captain seat because you didn't do that before. That's who I am. I talk kindly about people. I try to see things from both sides. I think that's why Brodie really likes me on here, right? Is because I look things at both sides. I don't really press on a lot of different topics or this, that, and the other thing. So for those people who are like, Paul's opinions aren't real because I have certain hats that I wear, that is false. That's just who I am. That's how I got in the position that I am right now, is because I say what I mean, and it's usually pretty kind. Now, as far as this whole thing with Paige, like, the only thing that upset me a little bit was when she said unsubscribe. And I don't know if that meant like I said, I look things at both sides. I don't know if that meant she's unsubscribed or she's telling other people to unsubscribe. I don't try to like just push my agenda on whatever, right? I think we probably lean towards one or the other, right?
Yeah.
That sucks because we do a lot of work over here. We don't just do work to make ourselves more famous or whatever. I do this work because I love disc golf and I want disc golf to grow, right? That's why I show up here every single week. We do these interviews so that people can hear what's going on and we can get more insight into the game so people understand the game more, and it's a fun watch every time they get to know these players, right? So that they can root for their new favorite player. Let's say that nobody had a interview with Ezra before. I haven't seen a lot of them, right? We get them on here, people listen to them, they learn about them, they become fans. That's important to me. When you have a podcast, it is our job to talk about stuff in a way that puts it out to the public. And people are so, I want to say soft, because that's the way that it is, right? People
Good
are very
word.
soft in this world and in disc golf, to where if it's not completely over the top to where they like it, they don't want it. And that's not the way sports is. Like when I see somebody mess up on the course and they're on the podcast, I'm going to ask them a question about it. That's what we do. That's how I want to know. I want other people to know, because those are the questions that everybody's thinking. And so it's my job to ask that question. And if it gets clipped and it becomes viral or whatever, so be it. It's a real question that I really felt passionate about it, and it's fine for me to say that. Now, if you don't like that, then yes, unsubscribe. That's your agenda. That's on you, right? As far as Terry and Johnny V go, I don't know what else they're supposed to do there. They have a follow-up question.
No, they're in a tough spot.
They're in a tough spot.
I was just saying,
I mean?
I think if it was a different situation, their response would be different. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, which of course.
And again,
that's fair. That's fair.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I was surprised because I thought they would have pushed back, and because they didn't, that just lets me know where we stand. That's all. That's all.
Maybe, or maybe it's nothing. I don't know, because I'm not them.
Yuli, if someone came on, if I went on some podcast and they're like, "Yeah, your co-host kind of sucks. Why do you have a pod with him?" Would I be like, yeah, okay. What else do you have? You see what I'm saying? Like, no, I would have your back. And that's what I'm saying is like, those are people that I thought would have my back in that situation. They didn't. Completely fine. I'm not sad about it. Right. But it just lets me know where I am with them.
I also don't think it's their job to have your back in that situation or to have my back in that situation. I think the job is to make sure that the person that's on their podcast is comfortable. And that's the way
they like to have a comfy podcast.
Yes, and that's my point. That's the way they run their podcasts.
Yep.
Which is fine.
That's completely fine.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
Is that what we do here? We ask tough questions sometimes.
And again, people are saying it. I'm not saying it's Terry's job. I think what Terry did is fine. All I'm saying is it let me know where I stand with Terry. That is what I'm letting you know. That's all I'm saying. I don't care what Terry did. I'm just saying I got to learn where I stand with Terry.
And
that's all.
My next thing is I don't want anybody to unsubscribe. So I will say this. I will defend my co-host here in saying, I know Brodie watches other things. I know he does his research. He runs his whole show. He does it from start to finish. He writes down all the stuff. He sends it over, and then Silas does a big thing. I don't do that much. I come on here and I give my opinions. So if that's what Paige thought, that is not true. I hope that helps. I hope that helps, because that's coming from me. That's not true. Brodie works his butt off in a lot of things. I don't work with people who don't work their butt off. I've said that before. So that's my opinion about the whole thing, really.
I think for most people that are listening to this podcast, because we might have some new people, right? We might have some people that are bouncing in tonight and listening for the first time, or maybe haven't listened for a while. So they're popping in. I appreciate having people, talk in the comments as well. It's interesting hearing everyone's different sides and whatever. So obviously, if you know me, I'm going to make jokes out of it. It's too easy. It's fun. I love it. I'm all about going back and forth, right? I love it. If you want to come at me, I'll come at you. Let's have a back and forth, have a good time, and then shake hands and be like, all right, that was sweet, deuces, right? So I obviously, first day of coverage, I'm doing orders. We sold 650 cards on Wednesday night. So I'm doing orders for like 2 hours, getting all these orders set it up. And I'm watching FPO coverage. So I take a little screenshot and post it on Twitter. And I do the nothing to see here, just me watching some FPO disc golf. And obviously I knew exactly what I was doing. I thought this was hilarious. I thought it was a funny post. Many of my followers, many of you guys thought it was funny. However, there were some people that didn't get the joke, or maybe there were some people that just didn't find my sense of humor, which is fine. I'm not a comedian. I'm not that funny of a person. There's a lot of things that I say that I think is funny, and Kelsey looks at me like I'm an idiot, and that is completely fine. So I got a response from this one guy. Don't throw it up just yet, Silas. Hold on, because I need to give context to it first. So his response, he quote tweeted me and said, "Look at me, keep me relevant," was his response to what I said, which I then saw his profile like I do. And I want to be like, all right, like I got this guy coming at me. I gotta get some intel. He probably has all this stuff to use against me. I have no idea who this guy is. So I got to get a little bit of intel here. So, I click on his profile, and right then and there, I was like, this guy made it too easy. So I hit him with the pretty funny comment coming from you. And his profile picture is him flexing in the gym. It's a gym selfie of him flexing.
Solid pick.
And I was like, I thought that was hilarious that he's coming at me for trying to be relevant and pay attention to me. And the person doing this has a picture of them flexing in the mirror as their profile picture. Now, people took that all sorts of different ways, which I think says a lot. If you took it a certain way, I think that says a lot about you and not me, because I just thought it was funny that he obviously has a picture of him trying to get attention. And I'll say that. So Twitter was fun. If you don't follow me on Twitter and you want a fun old time every once in a while, or you want to send me a good ribbing if I finish in 80th or 90th place and say that, you would beat me in a C tier, whatever, that is completely fine as well. I think if you're going to give it, I've always learned you had to take it. And I'm willing to take it. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, when I do something incorrect. And yeah, I don't know if there's really anything else. I guess we'll answer maybe some chat if you guys feel like there's anything on that side of the story that we didn't really cover. But I think for the most part, we've kind of gone back and forth. I think we've covered most of it. Are we still cool with Drew Gibson after his tweet? Here's the thing with Drew, guys. Drew says probably as much, if not more, stupid stuff than I do. Was his tweet dumb? Yes, his tweet was very dumb. I don't think you should be telling another professional athlete that they should quit and go to a different sport. Was he trying to do it in a way that was like nice? Maybe. Because I guess he was like saying like, hey, you can be super successful in golf and people aren't going to come after you, which again, they do come after me, but go do that. I get it. Do I think Drew tweets a lot of stuff to stir up conversation? Sure. I think, yeah, of course. Do I tweet a lot of stuff because I know it's going to be funny and it's going to get people riled up? 1000%. Yeah. But everything I tweet, I believe in. Where I think maybe Drew sometimes maybe makes some tweets that maybe he doesn't believe in, but he knows is what people want to hear. I don't know. Drew's an interesting character. I don't have anything bad against Drew. Drew just says a lot of stuff, and I kind of leave it at that.
Same.
Brodie, do you have an earnest interest in having a good relationship with Paige? This is like, I don't know what I've done to make her upset.
Well, maybe she just doesn't like the pod. Maybe she doesn't have a problem with you. Maybe she just doesn't like the pod.
And if that's the case, that's fine. I'm still gonna be cordial with her. If I see her, I'll say hello.
And she's welcome on the pod.
Yeah.
100%.
Whenever she wants to come on. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely come on. Yeah. As always. Yeah. When will Paul McBeth be on the pod? Like I said, if Paul wants to come on the pod, we obviously are going to have to talk about the situation. We can't just have him come on. I've been very good at talking about him and leaving everything behind and just being very objective of how his playing is. But if he comes on the pod and we don't talk about what went down, people are going to be very upset. I'm going to tell you that right now. People are going to be very upset because there's still a lot of question marks to a lot of people out there. So if he wants to come on, he has an open invite. We would just have to we would have to talk it out. And I don't know if he wants to do that. I'll leave it at that. Okay. And it's still always a passion, Yuli. Some people were saying, oh, he's gonna take the passion out of his bag now. No, the passion's the great disc. It's still always a passion. All right. I think we're good. Yeah?
I think so.
Let's move on to the next thing here. Yuli, did we manifest this?
What happened?
I think you manifested poorly, though, because you said, I don't want to be the captain of the team
right.
that loses. Yeah. We literally were just talking about this.
This is hilarious because literally the next day I get a message and he's like, "Hey, will you be the captain?" I'm like, "Of course, of course."
Oh,
I'm
man.
so pumped, man. Honestly, like I said, it's been a goal of mine for a long time. I didn't know if it would ever happen because they have great captains in the past.
Yep.
Who none of them have ever lost, which is fantastic. I've been looking at our team. I've already had a bunch of ideas of how this is going to go down, and my mind's racing always.
Can I ask the question that we're all thinking?
Yeah.
Are you picking yourself for captain's choice?
No.
Really?
No chance.
Even if you feel like your game is freaking crispy?
No.
What if you win like the next 3 events?
I still don't think I would. I want to be.
You want to be completely neutral or completely removed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to captain the team. I don't want to be in that position. I think in order for me to be the best captain possible, I can't do that.
Okay. We've seen it happen before in the past, so I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Do you have any, thoughts on potential captain's choice picks?
I do have thoughts on captain's choice. I still have to go over some of the rules of what's going on. I know that there is a fan vote.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm allowed to pick the reserve or if that's just appointed to the team. So that has a big thing to do with my pick.
Let me run down the list real quick for those that are listening and maybe can't see it. So Team Europe is Seppo. Seppo is the captain. Kristen Tatar, Evelina, Simon, Nicholas, Vino, Jakob. That's their starters. Then they have a fan vote, a captain's choice, and then 2 reserves, 1 for FPO, 1 for MPO. Then you have Team USA. Yuli, you're the captain there. Owen Scoggins, Missy Gannon. Then you have Calvin Heimberg, Gannon, Ricky, Eagle, and then same thing. Fan vote for MPO, captain's choice MPO, and then FPO and MPO reserve. Do you know when you have to make that decision?
I don't. I think the vote is going to be. I can't remember. I think it said the 19th or something like that, to where that's when the fan vote starts. I'll know a lot more after that, and I really want to understand if I'm able to pick the reserve or if that's just part of the world ranking system to where the next person gets the reserve.
Do you think too, are you guys going to do a little bit more like strategy? Because I think that's one part that's missing is where you say, hey, this is the guy I'm sending out first. And then the other team gets to see that and then they get to send someone out. Or
Yeah, I have to learn all that. And I'm going to have hopefully a meeting with UC when I get there, and I'll be able to like better understand. I mean, I'm already going through situations. I've obviously looked at the two teams. And I have a pretty good idea of who I'd like to match up with whoever. It really depends on what the fan vote is, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be AB. Honestly, if we're being honest, I think AB, as far as like the fan vote, is going to shred everybody.
We do have an interesting idea here. Pee Wee came in and said, so can Yuli override the fan vote if he wins? If you win the fan vote.
Oh, well, I don't have to worry about that. I think we all know who's going to win the fan vote.
All right.
Not about me. I'm the captain. And that's a good place to be. In order for me to do the best job as that captain, I have to make sure that I'm there supporting my team and they know that they're in good hands.
Yeah, so we will we'll be keep us updated on that, because that is going to be something that's obviously going to be really cool, really exciting. We can even maybe do a pod where we get like 4 people from Team USA on and then 4 people from Team Europe on before. That could be fun to kind of do a little, almost like a little press conference ourselves over here. That could be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that. But no, I'm honored. Absolutely honored. I'm excited.
It's so cool.
Dream come true, honestly, to be able to take your country and be the captain of something like that is, like I said, a dream come true. So something that I've always done. And it's another notch that I can put on my belt, which is so far a very successful career. And I'm very, very thankful.
Yeah. And I think too, we talked about this before, like this does have potential of being an event that like is must see TV for disc golf, right? We have a lot of events where people tune in, some weeks they don't. Like this could be an event 20 years from now that's the biggest event in disc golf.
Absolutely.
Similar to the Ryder Cup, similar to the President's Cup as well in tennis, I believe. Is it tennis? But yes, like it's that you could be etched in history as being one of the first captains in this thing, which would be sick.
It's one of my favorite events for sure that I've ever been a part of. I've been the reserve a couple times, maybe actually like 3 times I've been the reserve, and I've played on the team.
Davis Cup, yeah.
I think I've been on the team 2 or 3 times. But every time I was a reserve, I really took the role of being like kind of the helper to the captain, to where I was I brought a little notebook out. I was doing anything that I could to help. So it's something that I've always been passionate about and one of my favorite events. So like I said, it's an honor.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be real, real fun. All right. Let's roll through some listener questions here. I asked on Twitter for some listener questions and got some pretty good ones. So we'll kind of roll through it. First one is from Fantasy Football Tweeter. He wants to know, who is the worst choke artist on tour and why is it Calvin Heimberg? Interesting.
So I've said this before on this podcast that I think that that's a hilarious thing that people always throw out there, like who's a big choke job, like all this stuff. And I always say it's the best players in the world. They play hot potato with the win every single weekend. We see Gannon lose. We see Ricky lose. We see Ricky's one of the clutchest players we've ever had. He hasn't won this year. Mm-hmm. He's been in positions to win, yet nobody calls him a choke artist. So I think it's a thing that people from the outside like to put on this label of all these players, to where I don't think there's a real thing, like,
well, we just
how many people at this level have we seen go down the stretch and have a putt from 25 feet and miss it? You get what I mean? Like that's choking to me. And I haven't seen that in a very, very long time.
That's 100% right, Yulia. I think there's a misconception of what choking is.
Right.
Like
or
Calvin,
a big lead. Like I would say that, that the play on 17 from Luke, that's choking the tournament away. Unfortunately for him, that's the definition of it. And he knows it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that people losing by here, I don't think that Luke choked on 18 against Gannon. I think Gannon clutched up right there. And I think that's a definition to me. Taking a 9 on a hole, that's giving it up.
Yep. I agree.
And we don't have a lot of those instances. And so I don't think it's fair to put that label on a lot of people. As far as Luke goes, listen, for his skill level to be in contention as many times as he is, like opposite of choking, like he's playing way above what the outside perception would say that he would be playing. So hats off to that guy.
He's also not like lead card and then all of a sudden he's outside the top 10.
Right.
He's staying in the mix. And for someone that played pretty bad the start of that final round, taking a bogey the first hole, I think then doubling, I believe that was hole 4 after hitting the basket and going like he was way out of it. And
Calvin.
then Calvin. And then he kind of battled himself back to where if Gannon hadn't gone on that stretch of birdies in that one section, he would be in the mix as well.
Yeah,
so
you can't tell me that a guy who just won twice is a choke artist in our game. Like, that's silly to me.
Yep. All right. Psychari says Madden is named after John Madden. Who would the disc golf game be named after? Ken Climo disc golf seems like the most likely, but maybe Macbeth is the most marketable at this point.
Say that again.
So basically, she just wants to, I think it's a she or a he. I can't tell. The photo's too small. They want to know, you have Madden, John Madden football, right? Named after John Madden. Who would be the person on, what would the name be for disc golf? And they threw out Macbeth and they threw out Climo as options.
I like those choices. I like the one Madden cover of Brodie and Patrick too. Like double. A duel. You know what I mean? Like kind of an old and new type thing. So that would be cool.
Yeah, I think like 7-8 years ago, that would be perfect for Ricky and Paul, right?
Yeah.
Like right after Ricky won some worlds, that would be money. Now you almost have to go like NCAA where they had 3 people on the cover.
Yep.
Like now you could do AB, Gannon, and Calvin all on the cover. That'd be a pretty sick cover. Dark and Stormy, how many tournaments does the current Big 3 and MPO win in the second half of the season? It's a good question. I guess the better question is how many people outside the Big 3 win? How many wins outside the Big 3?
Well, I think it's a Big 4. I don't think it's a Big 3.
Who are you putting in the 4th spot?
Simon. I've said this. I think Simon's probably the best player in the world.
People are sleeping on Simon.
I don't understand how. The guy's winning the more tournaments than anybody.
He hasn't been on tour.
It doesn't matter.
People forget so quickly.
I know.
And I'll tell you
I'm
this.
Here to remind you.
I'll tell you this. I didn't get to watch in person, but I saw what he shot and I heard about the round. No one has played New London better than Simon did blind. Like, people go out there and play New London blind and go, holy crap. Like, okay, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to do this. The dude shredded playing blind the first time. I think Simon is my favorite for Worlds.
I don't mind that. I mean, the guy's got to win a major. He's got to win a major. Mm-hmm. He knows that. But yeah, if you're going to say that AB, Gannon, and Calvin are there, then if you don't put Simon in that conversation, you're silly. The guy's won more than them. Or maybe as much as Gannon now, but
I think this, we have an account here. It's a new account. I've never seen it before, but Beeb L Ski BL, I think is the best commentator we've ever had on YouTube.
Okay. Shout out.
Best commentator I've ever seen. All right. Next question is from Corey. But a pushback.
We didn't even answer the question. Who's going to win?
Oh, yeah. I guess we should answer how many.
I just threw Simon out there and then we
argue
about that.
Okay, so we add Simon in the mix. So we got those. Yes. We got those 4. How many people are winning outside of those 4?
3 more different winners.
Ezra Robinson.
I don't know who they are, but I can throw out names. Sure. Let's say Ezra gets one. Let's say another.
Gooseman?
Ricky's for sure going to get one.
Ricky's a good one. Gooseman?
I don't know. I don't know.
Kyle Klein?
You got to think about Kyle Klein. You got to think about
Theo?
you got to think about all those guys. Simon.
Yuli?
Oh, wait, well, Simon's in our big four.
He's in
Yeah,
our
I
big
could
four.
win. Yeah, I'm getting close, man. Which I love because when it happens,
Cole
I cannot wait
Redolin? Let's not forget about him.
for all those naysayers that said I would never win again. It's gonna happen. It will happen.
All the naysayers out there.
I can't
All
wait. I'm right. I'm taking notes.
Receipts.
I'm keeping receipts.
Get your receipts. All right. Corey wants to know a little bit of a pushback on Yuli's trees inside C1 and stats. Trees are the number one way to make putting harder in disc golf. Number 2 is elevation. Does the PGA change putting stats because one green has more angulation over another? Interesting.
What do you mean?
So they're basically saying that they're saying that the trees inside of circle 1 is equivalent to a really difficult green in golf, of where a 5-foot putt downhill breaking right to left 3 feet, that still counts as a missed putt.
Here's the difference. Sometimes you can't even get to the basket. Claiming. There's no getting to the basket.
You're saying there's not even a chance to make it.
There's
and that's
always
where
a chance to hit the cup and go in.
Yeah. Okay. They brought. I would say that is an interesting point they brought up.
It's a decent point for
It's
sure.
an interesting point they brought up. But you're basically saying when you're completely
stymied,
you have no chance. You have to like skip it off the ground to get it to the basket. Okay. Next one is from Skin. Is a 30 minutes pregame show too long for disc golf? I make sure not to watch it because it's boring. I'm very in touch with the happenings and storylines, so it's not for me. Does anyone else watch Tournament Central? This is actually a good question for the chat. We got over 1,000. We got 1,100 people here watching. How many people watch Tournament Central? Because my only thing is like, who cares if they have it or not? The only thing is like, if they're putting resources towards it, then and no one's watching it, then that's tough, right? But if they're not putting resources, they're like, these people are already here. Okay, we haven't had anyone say they watch it. Oh, Silas, look at, we got a poll. Number 1 producer in disc golf. Look at this. Let's go. All right, Silas just threw a poll up there for you guys. So I guess answer the poll. And we'll come back to that in a few. Or Silas, you give us the answer, the result here in a little bit.
Yeah, I think you have I don't think you should be longer right now at this point than 30 minutes. But hey, when I'm watching the U.S. Open, I'll put on the whole. It's on for 4 days beforehand.
Ron doesn't like the poll. Ron says dumb poll. Johnny FO8. What is it going to take for Ricky to get his first win this season, Yuli?
Play.
Just keep playing.
Just keep playing. I mean
he
so
was
close every single. Listen,
he was 2 throws away from winning.
You guys don't understand how good this guy is. Like, he has a streak of like, this is his 14th straight year when he wins, because I believe he will, of having an Elite Series
one less putt
win for 14 straight years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
And
it's not like he's like in last place.
No,
he's like in the top 4 every single weekend.
Do your players ever Jacob, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit. Do you ever wash your discs? Every once in a while, I'll dump them in a sink, let them soak in dish soap, and then scrub them all down. To me, they feel so much better afterwards.
I mean, some people do. I don't.
I would have thought you were a bathe with your disc type of guy.
See, that's weird. I'm not. No. Negative.
There are people out there that do that for sure. Take a little bathy bath with their discs.
People, the best wash that my freaking discs get is when they get muddy on them, poof, and then a nice little scrub down. So I don't even know if people want to hear that, but
I've seen people put it in their washer machine, which I highly say don't do, because I think the water in there is so hot that I think it can actually deform your disc.
Yeah, I forgot who it was back in the day, put them all in a dishwasher and ruined all of his discs.
Yeah, I would not recommend. I think a wet towel, or a little spit shine and then a towel, I think is all
Yeah.
you need. It's all you need. All right, let's see here. What's another good
All right,
one?
the votes are in.
Oh, votes are in. Here we
Votes
go.
are in for the poll. Do you watch Tournament Central?
How many votes are we talking about here? Because we need a decent amount. We can't just.
150.
Okay, so that's
150.
a decent amount of people.
27% said yes. 73% said no. So
20. That's a pretty
Okay.
good percentage.
That's enough to, I think, you keep it going.
Me too. Yeah.
Maybe you just try to make it better
Yeah.
so more people want to tune in. Like one thing that I don't know if they have, like, do they have, I haven't watched it so in a while, but do they have like pre-interviews? Are they doing like a quick little like 1 minute soundbite as someone's walking from the driving range to the putting green? Are they doing any of that?
They pull clips from their press conference.
I don't want that, Silas. I've already seen that.
I think that's all they do. with
See, I would like
want
little
fresh
clips, little like maybe a little background clip. That's a perfect spot for a little highlight, a profile of like Nate Doss, right? Like have a little highlight of him being like showing some old clips of him, and then a little debate on how he's going to do. That'd be a great little.
Yeah.
I don't know if they might do that. I don't watch Tournament Central.
Mark just said Nate Perkins and Brian Earhart are eloquent. Like those two guys we've had both of them on the pod. Those two guys are great.
They're good.
So to me, it's more about building the show around them
Yeah.
than them, basically. Citizen wants people are just demanding polls now, Silas. We've given them too much power. All right, this one's for Yuli. This is from Joe. What percentage of your total income came from tourney winnings at the beginning of your career versus middle of your career versus now? Discuss the avenues of income for disc golfers now versus then.
In the beginning, it was all my income pretty much. I mean, so I was sponsored by Innova for that part of my career, and we had a huge bonus program that I really stuck to as far as points race, rating, all of those things. So that was a big time hit at the end of the season. If you were good in all those things, you got big time bonuses. To get to week, it was all about tournament winnings. Little selling of discs here and there. I personally didn't do a lot of that. A couple years I did. And then 2012 is when we switched to Prodigy, and I actually had an income, and my income started off as $1,500 a month. It went down to $1,000 the next year, and then it went up to $1,200, back to $1,500, and then stayed at $1,500 for the last 2 years of that. And that was a big time boost to my income right there. Along with the tournament earnings, and I wasn't getting a lot from other sponsors. I think from Grip I was getting like $100 a month or something. Not that much from anybody else. When I went to Discraft, my contract stayed the same. I made a deal with Discraft saying, hey, take my same contract that I had with Prodigy. I didn't want a bonus for moving. I wanted to kind of prove my worth to them. So I said, take the same contract. I'll work for you guys for 3 years. After the 3 years, when I prove my worth, I would like to finally get paid. Because I had a lot of promises from a lot of people during my career that, let's say, they didn't pan out. So still at that point, let's say in that 6 year stretch, I was getting the $1,500 to $1,000 a month, plus the tournament earnings, nothing really coming in outside of that, except for some little hustles here and there as far as clinics go and different things like that. When I went to Discraft, same thing. I got a boost from my signature series, which ended up being the Raptor, the regular Raptor, and I had that. So that was a little boost to the income. And then slowly after that, I started picking up different sponsors and stuff because I really shifted from my play to trying to make money on tour. So because I made the deal of like, hey, you guys have to pay me after 3 years, I knew I had to boost everything else. With boosting all of that other stuff, other sponsors came in, and then I got to be more lucrative, like in different parts of businesses in disc golf, until now my percentage on tour compared to what I make is probably only about 5 to 10%, if that.
Yeah. All right. Now, this is probably the biggest topic we'll have all night. All right. Silas, you have to weigh in as well. You can't hide from this. This is from the Toasted Pop-Tart. Do you like your Pop-Tarts toasted, frozen, or raw?
I think I'm more of a raw guy.
I think the only one that I go raw, I mean, I'll eat them all raw. But I think the only one that I will go raw and never toast, like if it's not, like if I am near a toaster and I can pop them in the toaster real quick, blueberry, I'm toasting.
Toast.
Strawberry, I'm
Toast.
toasting. One that I never will toast, brown cinnamon sugar, raw. That one is good, better raw.
What do you think about butter?
I'm seeing some of these people talking about this. I've never tried that. Do I need to try that?
Yeah, I've tried it once. It's pretty good. It's
On
pretty
what
good,
kind? On what?
I'm not
what
trying it.
flavor?
All the flavors.
Yeah, you can do all of them.
But what flavor is butter the best on? Because I gotta try it with the best flavor.
Probably
to see if I
cinnamon.
actually
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like
Is it a cinnamon
Try
one?
that. Yeah. If I had to guess.
But I don't want to toast it.
Well,
I like
what
it
if we
raw.
butter it and toast?
Yeah, what if it's so much better? And I'm like, what the heck? What have I been doing my whole life?
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to try. I'll try it buttered, and I'll get back to you guys maybe next week. Colby wants to know thoughts on the new proposed PDGA rule where you can have 2 timeouts a round. I personally like it. Well, Kobe, I think it's dumb.
I like it.
Yuli likes it. Christopher Saunders. Oh, we already asked this. Who's Yuli taking with his captain's pick? Stay tuned, Christopher. Stay tuned. All right, Silas, give us some merch updates. Where are we at here?
Merch updates. We are at. Hold on, I just lost the number.
It's okay.
We
I
are
mean,
at,
next week we might be at 1,000 with the "I'm Not Your Caddy" shirt.
Yeah, we gotta get on that design.
That's such a good shirt.
Such a good shirt.
For Tour Life merch, we're at 478. 478, almost at 500.
22 units away. 22 units away from 500. Make sure you guys go to foundationdisc.com if you want to support the podcast. Yes.
We just got these in as well.
Oh boy.
Some Tour Life
Ooh.
chalk bag things.
Ooh.
So,
I like those.
Nice.
I need one of those, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we get Yuli some of those.
They're on the site right now.
Yeah, a little Tour Life chalk bag. So go over to foundationdisc.com, pick up some Tour Life merch. We appreciate you guys. And before we end, I gotta say this, Yuli. Big shout out to Discraft. Massive shout out to Discraft. Because I've had numerous people, send emails to Bob, send emails to Discraft, message Discraft on Instagram, on Twitter, saying that they need to take my sponsorship away. I can't believe you sponsored Brodie. Discraft has never reached out to me and told me, hey, this is a topic that we don't want you guys to talk about. They've never reached out to me and said, hey, you said this on the last podcast. You need to come back and apologize. You need to correct yourself and say this. They've never said any of that to me. And I don't know. I think that's big. I think in today's world, I think a lot of companies would shy on the side of kind of censoring me, right? Saying, hey, don't say this, don't say that, don't talk about this, don't bring this person on and say this. And they've never done that. So I don't know. To me, they've let me be myself the entire time, whether it's good or bad. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. And Yuli, I appreciate you too for continuing to come on here week after week after all the stuff I've said as well.
My pleasure, man. Love the pod.
I know I probably have put you in some weird spots as well, which I'm not trying to do, But at the end of the day, I'm always just going to say it how I see it, whether it's true or not, right? Like sometimes I say something that I think is true, and then we find out, nope, I was wrong. We correct it. We move on. Yeah, the no comment section on Disc Golf Pro Tour is also tough. Yeah, that is tough. Because like I think this podcast, really the one thing that really to me like makes this podcast special is the live chat. I love seeing the live chat. I think you guys interacting with each other. I'm glad that we've opened it up now. So we have people like where are they? Beb, shout out Beb L Ski BL. They can now basically disagree with every single thing we say on the pod. So it's good to have that. It's good to have all sorts of different type of people in the chat. So and for the most part, Silas is watching. We've got a couple mods in there too watching. For the most part, everyone keeps it civil. And at the end of the day, that's all we care about, right? Like don't threaten people. Don't call people names. Like those things are like things that we just like, hey, let's not do that. But if someone has a bad take, by all means, let them know, especially if it's me. So
same. Had a few of them.
Yeah. Hey, we all do. Silas probably has more than we do, but eventually we'll get him on here. Silas, people were coming after you with your take on the Disc Golf Network production that one time. That was.
Oh, hey, I stand by it. I'm not backing down.
You got
I like that.
Yuli, one podcast we need to like just come up with questions to ask Silas and get his takes on things.
I'm down.
Just see how he does with the comments. Just like I don't know, I'll have to think of the questions, but that and you guys maybe send in some questions for us to do. So, but hey, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, I mean, honestly, we'd still be doing this podcast. Let's be real. If there was 50 people watching us, we'd still be doing it. But the amount of people that watch the podcast definitely makes it a lot more exciting for us. So we do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much to both our guests. Holyn, thank you so much for coming on. Ezra, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
And all the people who come up at the autograph booth after my rounds every week, man, I swear. It changes as time goes on. It used to be like I was their favorite player. Then I was their favorite commentator. I'm their favorite coach. And now they just love our podcast, and it means a lot. Yeah. When they come up and say that they love Tour Life, because we do put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah. No,
mostly I appreciate Brodie and Silas.
I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. And, with Yuli, it's like kind of expected that he's going to have some people waiting after his round later in the day. With me, I'm not really expecting anyone there. And so when there are actually people there, I do really appreciate it as well. So thank you guys so much. The support, we appreciate it. The podcast isn't going to change. I'll tell you that right now. And this will be the last thing I say. We are not trying to have gotcha moments. We're not trying to have people come on the podcast and put them in tough spots to be like, ooh, gotcha. But if something needs to be said, if there's a discussion, a topic that needs to be said, we will bring it up. And if there is something negative that needs to be said about someone, we will bring it up. And if that hurts your feelings and you don't want to come on the podcast because of that, okay, that's fine. But we do appreciate everyone that does. Like you said, there are other podcasts out there. If you want to have, fluff questions thrown your way and me and Yuli just clapping for you and smiling, there's other places for that. That's just not what this podcast is. We like having people come on as our peers, as our competitors, and we like talking shop. And sometimes you have to bust balls.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So,
there's different podcasts for everybody. Hey, and Smashbox has always treated me great. And early on in my career, it was the only podcast, and they'd have me on there all the time. And I'm always appreciative to them.
Yep. And they're on right now. So after we're done, go over, watch some Smashbox, and tell them that Tour Life sent you over there. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Yep. Another awesome episode. Next week will be just as good, I hope. We'll see what trouble I get into now, Yuli, but appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.